One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham. Breaking news into the Fanfare newsfeed.
Hello, everybody. It was supposed to happen at 2:15. I thought I would have it for you, but he jumped and did it a little bit earlier. Right now, Jerome Powell has announced, or at least it's been announced by a 10-2 vote. Two people still didn't want to do it, but the Fed Reserve has cut rates once again. So the Federal Reserve has cut rates. That's a good thing. You know what that means. We're going to get into it as we go through this show because, hold on, let me just bring it up for you so you guys can see it yourself. It just happened, so I didn't have a chance to get this formalized in here, but you will see it right now. And hold on. Boom. Here it is. Here it is. There we go. All right. As of about 10 minutes ago, they've cut rates for the second time this year with a balance sheet runoff in December. The Federal Reserve on Wednesday approved its second straight interest rate cut. If you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you know I've been telling you that there was going to be one September. Now we got October. The Federal Reserve second straight interest rate cut, a widely expected move that came despite little recent visibility on the economy due to the government shutdown. In addition to the rate move, the Fed announced it would be ending the reduction of asset purchases, a process known as quantitative tightening instead of quantitative easing. Whatever that word is. On December, by a 10-2 vote, the central bank's Federal Open Market Committee lowered its benchmark overnight borrowing rate down to 3.75%. Governor Stephen Moran cast a dissenting vote as he wanted it even further. He didn't want a quarter point, he wanted a half a point. So, what is going to happen? Well, it's probably already happening. Let me go here and bring that up for you. Look at what's going on. Stocks rise to record heights as the traders await Fed rate decision. NVIDIA, first trillion-dollar company. I think it beat Apple. $1 trillion. Everything is green. Everything is go. This is the prosperity bang that President Trump has been talking about bringing to America. It is now coming, despite the fact that the government remains shut down here on day 29. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I hope that you're out there going to get some of this. I really do. Now, if you notice, I got a different background. I'm in the same place, but we got some work going on here. And if you're hearing some noise in between, the guys are working upstairs. And so just bear with it. They're doing, hopefully they won't cut anything. They'll make this thing go poof. But other than that, I'm here with you for the next couple hours. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. And then we're going to bring a lot of things. And we're going to talk about President Trump. And then we're also going to talk about Mike Johnson. So without further ado, let's begin this party here. And let's check out what President Trump has begun.
He's finalized details of a trade agreement with South Korea following his meeting with the president there. And now our president says that he's confident he can strike a deal with Chinese leader Xi in their high-stakes meeting that will happen later tonight. Lucas Tomlinson on the road today in South Korea. Lucas, hello there.
Well, good morning, Bill. President Trump has arrived here in South Korea with all the pomp this country can muster, including fighter escorts, the red carpet. And just moments ago, President Trump announcing that the U.S. and South Korea have inked a $350 billion trade agreement. Of course, the United States is South Korea's second largest trading partner. And part of the pomp are some gifts. And check this out, Dana. President Trump receiving, in essence, the crown jewels. This crown and necklace, the highest.
You know there are liberal heads exploding. They gave him an actual crown. I can only hope, I know this thing is probably worth millions and millions of dollars, but I would love for him when he lands back in Washington, as he's getting off Air Force One, to put that crown on his head and just watch people melt into the ether. Watch them just go away. That would be just awesome. They gave him, despite I'm sure they've been monitoring things here. I'm sure they've seen the news, and they gave the dude a crown.
Towards South Korea can muster, and President Trump is the first American to receive it. And Trump says the trade deal has been reached, and it'll be a grand total of some $20 trillion investment from around the world in the president's first term. Here's the president earlier.
I'm sorry. Did they say 20 trillion? Not only has it been 20 trillion, on this trip alone, he has raised $1 trillion. While these guys are all running around with their heads cut off, can't seem to get, the Democrats to do anything, President Trump is out there crushing it. $1 trillion just this trip, the last couple days.
I figure that will probably be at 20 or 21, maybe even $22 trillion of investments coming into our country by the end of the first year of my second term. And, we had a...
By the way, that would be by January. My gosh.
Tremendously successful first term.
Now, here's the scorecard from...
All right, so I want you to look at that. Toyota is... This is just this trip. This trip that he's over there right now in Southeast Asia. Toyota, $10 billion in the United States auto plants. What's that mean? That means jobs. $30 billion partnership with Mitsubishi. U.S., Japan, South Korea, and this is a thing people are afraid of, they signed a huge tech deal. We went through the rare earths and all this kind of stuff. You guys should be understanding that. And framework with agreement with Japan on the critical minerals. Go ahead, keep talking. Where are you? Come on, Fox.
Now, here's the scorecard from Japan. Toyota to invest $10 billion in U.S. auto plants, $30 billion partnership with Mitsubishi, the U.S., Japan, and South Korea signing a new tech deal, a framework agreement with Japan on critical minerals reached. And we saw similar deals on rare earths in Malaysia with Cambodia. And Trump, that's what he did in Kuala Lumpur over the weekend, Bill. Now, President Trump, serenaded by South Korea's president, who visited the White House just a few months ago. Tomorrow is the high-stakes meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping on trade.
All right, so tomorrow, actually it's happening today, which is tomorrow over there, but today, after setting the table with Malaysia and Cambodia and Thailand and now South Korea, now the next meeting is the big one. The big one is with Xi Jinping of China. You can't even imagine what will happen in the markets when they announce a deal between the United States and China. I have tried. There's a metamorphosis happening on this channel alone. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. I've been trying to ring the bell and show people, are you watching this stuff? Or do you understand what is about to happen and how we are? Here we are, 10 months later, October 29th, and it's actually happening. We're still within the first year of this man's term, and you're seeing the dominoes all line up in a row. And now he's going to culminate that trip, this weekend trip that he's doing, with a meeting with the big dog at the table. This is something, it's probably why the Democrats are absolutely losing it, because they know what's coming. They know a deal with China is going to be on the table. He's going to get it done.
Fentanyl in soybeans. Last year, China bought $13 billion worth of American soybeans. This year, $0 bill. And one meeting not on the schedule, one with North Korea's dictator.
I know Kim Jong-un very well. We get along very well. We really weren't able to work out timing. We have President Xi is coming tomorrow, and that was something that obviously is very important to the world, to all of us. You'll be watching very carefully. We're meeting right here, and we're all looking forward to that. I think it's going to work out very, very well for everybody.
Now, aboard Air Force One en route from Japan here to South Korea, President Trump making some news. He says he has no plans to run for re-election a third term because he says he's not allowed, Bill.
The rules, the procedures in the Senate by which we operate and are governed require a 60-vote threshold. So it takes more than 51, meaning, since we have 53 Republicans, it's going to take a handful of Democrats. Well, we've been able to generate 55 votes consistently now, 13 different times, for funding the government, opening up the government, but we need 5 more. So the question is, are there 5 people over there with a backbone, 5 courageous Democrats, 5 Democrats who don't buy this, who don't believe that they ought to be using the American people as leverage, to try and win a political battle?
I want to address that, is the fact that now Chris Coons has come out and said this. You saw the other lady a week or so, she said it. Now Chris Coons has said it. Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage. Our only. When you use the word only, it means singular. There's nothing else. Only. What should that tell you right now? That is loser speak. That is serious loser speak. You're trying everything you can possibly do. You're throwing everything at this man, everything at the Republicans, trying to destroy America, and you got one thing left, and it's this. Because they know when this falls, and it will, they will have to capitulate. At this point, there's no doubt in my mind, they will have to come to the table. I've seen 12 or 13 straight votes where the Republicans are standing strong. They're not showing any wavering. Doesn't show anybody backing down. They don't have to. And so at this point, the Democrats are going to have to capitulate. And that is probably going to be the end of the careers of many of these Democrats. because the socialists are worse than the Republicans at this point. They're like little Pac-Men waiting to come after these people. They're forcing them to put the entire country and use it as leverage, because they know 100% they cannot be a viable party without these newcomers. Sorry about that. I told you they were hammering and stuff up there. Let's continue.
Are there 5 Democrats over there who believe that we ought to do what's in the best interest of the American people, the best interests of the air traffic controllers and the TSA agents, and the men and women in uniform, and the SNAP recipients that starting on Saturday are going to go without food assistance?
So what I want to show you next is something that is becoming a bit of a dividing line, not just with the left, but with the right as well. I am seeing, it has taken 10 months to get there, but I am seeing a metamorphosis happening on the right. You see, a lot of people wanted to see Trump win. A lot of people wanted to see things change and beat up the Democrats. And they never thought to themselves that there may be a time when there would have to be some sacrifice. And every single war ever fought, every game, football game, basketball game, the other team is going to score points. They are going to come after you, and it almost becomes a war of attrition. You will have to give something up. And I don't think a lot of people paid attention. Well, I'm not going to use the word think. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people didn't bother paying attention. They thought this would be a easy ride and everything would be fine and it would never come back on them. You see, here as I've been trying to tell people, and I've been, doing some things myself. We got the silver giveaway, and we're going to be doing giving away some more silver today. And I've been trying to educate people on the way. And I've noticed there is I won't say a big contingent, but there's a contingent of people on the right who aren't at all comfortable where we are right now. The fact that 2 or 3 days, the switch may go off on certain SNAP benefits is freaking people the F out. They're not understanding that this is something that has to happen. It must happen. It may impact you. You may have to seek other means. Now, everybody ask me, don't play the warning again because it freaks people out and makes dogs scream. But I'm going to give you the warning right now, once. And the mods can bounce anybody they want after this. I am not talking about people who are mentally or physically infirmed. Let's not confuse that ever again. People who are mentally or physically infirmed who need help should get their help. Everybody else, get off your ass. You should have seen it coming. Don't blame me. Don't blame anybody else. Prosperity is within your reach, and now you're going to have to go get it. And that makes people uncomfortable. That makes people unsubscribe. That makes people send dirty, nasty emails. Barry, you're talking about prosperity. You're talking about money. Yeah, I am. And it didn't come from me. It came from the man I decided to vote for. It came from the man who I decided to create a channel around. And I knew way back then that people weren't paying attention. And I know some of you are sitting here going, Barry, what in the hell are you talking about? You didn't pay attention. Nope, you didn't. Otherwise, you would have known that this, on November 1st, had to happen. If you didn't realize that he was trying his best and he wanted to end SNAP, then you weren't paying attention. And I know some of you in the chat will be like, what do you mean? I've been paying attention. Not if you didn't think this wasn't going to happen. I'm going to prove that to you right now. This video was posted on Trump's website prior to the campaign really getting in earnest. It was posted on November 11th, 2023. Nearly 2 years to the date. And many of you might be seeing this for the first time. And when you see this video, you're going to go, how the hell did I miss this? How did I not prepare for what was coming? I voted for this man. I campaigned for him. I told other people, vote for Trump. And now people are wigging out because Snap might go off on Friday or Saturday. When he told you all along that's what's going to happen. Did you not know? Were you not paying attention? Because you can't be surprised. I've told you and I've shown you many times, here's his agenda. The man doesn't speak out of his butt. He really wants to do things he says. So I want you to listen to this video that he put up on November 11th, 2023. And after you get your jaw up off the table, you're going to realize this was inevitable.
Crooked Joe Biden is running a nonstop conveyor belt importing illegal aliens from all over the world into our country, and the Biden Department of Homeland Security is abusing its so-called parole authority to give them more governmental benefits than many law-abiding citizens, including our vets. Our vets are being taken advantage of. Our citizens are being taken advantage of. It's very unfair, and it's not going to stand. Under this horrendous abuse of power, millions of illegals will be eligible for billions and billions of dollars in welfare benefits, courtesy of you, the American taxpayer. So not only is Crooked Joe surrendering your borders and your sovereignty, he is stealing your hard-earned money to redistribute it to people who have no business being in our country. They should be in their country. This is not sustainable by anybody, certainly not sustainable by us. The United States is trillions of dollars in debt, yet the radical left Democrats are illegally dispensing public benefits to illegals while they try to massively raise your taxes. The radical left communists hate you, and they hate our middle class. Under Biden's scheme, the benefits that will go to illegal aliens include food stamps, free health care, welfare checks, and a host of other programs, the likes of which you would not even believe. In addition, Biden is also giving illegal aliens work permits to take jobs away from American citizens. And then if they have children, not only do the children get automatic citizenship, but they unlock a trove of additional government benefits flowing to illegal immigrant households. In the meantime, our vets suffer and our citizens suffer. On day one of my new administration, we will shut down this travesty and defend the wealth of hardworking middle-class families. I will stop the outrageous abuse of parole authority. I will reinstate my action making illegals ineligible for public housing. We will terminate all work permits for illegal aliens, and I will demand that Congress send me a bill blocking any future president from abusing his power to distribute welfare benefits in this manner. It's all being paid for by the American taxpayer. Like automatic citizenship for children of illegal aliens, welfare is a gigantic magnet drawing people from all over the world. They want to come to the United States. They want to feast off the sweat and savings of the American taxpayer. It's not fair. It's not just. We're not going to let it happen. I will end it all immediately. Thank you.
They're banging it. I will end it all immediately. Took him 10 months. Ending SNAP as you know it had to happen. There was no doubt that this had to happen, but there was no legal mechanism for turning it off. The only mechanism that would allow Trump to reform welfare would be for the government to be shut down. And so I saw that video, as I've seen every single video on his platform. You're going to have to excuse that. Can't stop it. Every single video. And I've watched, and I've continued to try and show you where the puck was going. That statement that I make is so well spoken at this point. You guys know where the puck is going is something you need to be focused on. Not here. This is what the media is trying to get you to do. Focus here. Don't pay attention to what's really happening. If you saw the entirety of the plan, which I've shown you, you can see where things are headed. He has to destroy SNAP. He has to destroy the entirety of the welfare system. We got to stop it. Will it impact some people? Will it impact some good people? Probably. Absolutely it will, but it's for the better of the entire country. And so people don't like me saying this, and they're pissed off and they're unsubscribing, and I can't help you. You should have known and understood this is where this country was headed because we had no choice. And this is why the Democrats are freaking out, is because they know if he is successful in getting all these newcomers off of the rolls, where they can't have food stamps, where they can't have Medicare, they can't exist. Here, I have proof for you. This got posted earlier today. This is absolutely mind-boggling. Get some of this.
Without the government support, I cannot stay maybe a month or 2 months.
Pima County Chairman Rex Scott told News 4 Tucson he's deeply concerned about the impact on local refugees. And
sorry, without your money, I can't stay here. Without you giving me every single month EBT card, without having EBT card and all this other stuff, I can't stay here. That's the point. Wake up, everybody. It's not Barry talking about prosperity and leaving people behind, and it's not fair, and enough with talking about the bad people. No, it's because that's how we fix the country. These people can't stay here if they're not taking your money. I am so over getting the emails. Barry, you're looking down on poor people. No, I'm not. I want to get rid of the newcomers. And of course, because we got to get rid of them, there are going to be some people who might get hurt. I'm sorry for that. But at the same token, as I've been using my hurricane analogy, you should have seen it coming. The video's been up since November of 2023. I didn't make it up. I know a lot's coming. How do I know? I just look at what he said he's going to do, and I try to see what hasn't been done yet, and I realize at this point he's continuing to do everything he said he was going to do. Nobody should be caught by surprise anymore. Instead of being upset that you're not on that bus, maybe you need to find out what you need to do to get on a different bus. Oh, God, it's so crazy. I posted this earlier on my own page, and I wanted to bring it up today in this show. And what it was a down here, this is in Jupiter, Florida. I'm going to talk a little bit louder so the banging doesn't interrupt me. This is in Jupiter, Florida. And commonly down here in Jupiter, there are these things we call boat parties or boat parades. And obviously, the people get on the bridge and they watch the boat parades and everything else, and they have all kinds of things happening where people jump out of airplanes. And then the boats go up and down the intercoastal. If you've never been to South Florida, the intercoastal is this body of water between the ocean and land. It's like an insight river. And they just go up and down the intercoastal. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boats do this. And what was my purpose for posting this? I wanted to show people what goes on down here, but I also want to show this. So I posted this because people need to know that it's okay to show that you are successful. See, there's a lot of people who saw these things happening down here in South Florida and bitched and said, oh, they're white rich people and everything else and blah, blah, blah. How dare they? It's okay to surround yourself with other successful people. It's not a bad thing. SP just texted me. Well, I'm sorry. When he texts me, I have to check because I know my microphone's on, so it can't be that. All right. And one of the problems, don't let the Democrats and commies ever make you feel like you don't deserve life and to live life to the fullest. Don't let anybody try to tell you you shouldn't be happy that you're successful. If you earned it, you should be able to love what life affords you. If the EBT queens can show that what they steal, you should be able to show what you've earned and be proud. That change of ideology is huge for people to understand. You know, people used to say, well, not used to, people still say, you know, somebody actually, one of the comments here says, I like to live modestly. And just like the word rich, the word modestly is a definition that's different with everybody altogether. My old boss who owns a jet and owns a Bentley and has a 9-something Porsche that cost him $2 million, his modest car, which I laughed at him, is a high-end Mercedes. I'm like, dude, why are you driving this car? And you go, well, I don't like people to think, you know, I'm being more, you know, than I really am. You don't think a $150,000 car is just the same symbol? He tried to, and he looked at me. I'm like, you got a plane. You got a $9 or $10 million yacht. It's got your name on it. You drive it up and down the intercoastal and out in the ocean and sail it and have the helicopter drop you off. Your name's on your building. Live it, love it, enjoy it. Don't let people talk you out of being successful. Not that you could talk him out of being successful, but he laughed. He's like, you're so right, man. I'm so worried sometimes people who don't know me might see me and think something. Instead, I told him, you inspire me. I look at you and go, and now that I know how he made his money, I'm like, well, then I know what to do. Prosperity isn't a fence. There's no wall. There's no barrier. And as one person said, you know, some people get lucky. There's no luck unless it's a lottery. It's a door that's wide open for anybody to pass through. You just have to choose to walk through it. You just have to choose to walk through it and enjoy it just like everybody else does. Nobody's stopping you except for yourself. And so as we reach this deadline and where people may see some things in the next 2 days or 3 days where it's going to be absolutely horrible for them, and maybe for some people here in the chat, because I've been watching people freak out. I've been getting emails. Understand that the only way out of it is to do something. This was destiny. It had to end. That musical chair game that's been going on for decades absolutely had to end. And now we're there. And you have a few days, and hopefully you've got something in the cupboard. Get something done. Reach out to people. Say, what can I do? How can I do this? I've been trying to talk to people about real estate. I've been trying to tell people about this and that and everything. I've been giving you the indicators. But people are focusing here. Oh, they're the Epstein files, man. Epstein files, and what about this? And Pam Bondi. And I'm like, is that any of that helping your life? And so if we end up hemorrhaging or sacrificing subscribers as we move forward, that's okay, because I would rather talk to people who want to know than bystanders that are happy standing on the bank of that water as the boats go by. I don't want to be surrounded by the people on the banks of the river. I want you in the boat. I want you being a part of that parade. You know, as you're hearing the noise right now is because we're doing some renovations. And I'm here to, just to watch over things and endure the pain of the renovations. Robin's, I checked her into a hotel. She's having a great time. She's sending me pictures. Like, thank you. But the fact of the matter is, I treat her a certain way. I treat Ashley a certain way. Treat our grandkids a certain way because God has blessed us. And I personally feel that if you don't show God every day that you're so thankful for your blessings, they can go away. So with that, let me just go ahead and talk to you real quick about Lear Capital. We're going to have Kevin on next week to talk about what's going on with the gold market and how some of this stuff is happening. So, history shows that every market eventually fails. Every currency collapses. And today, the U.S. dollar could be hanging by a thread. There's so much going on. We've got $37 trillion in national debt, record high markets defying gravity, and we all know stocks can't go up forever. Meanwhile, your groceries, your housing, and your transportation costs are all going up. And your dollar, it's buying less every single day. And that's why we got to get rid of these newcomers and got to get rid of this SNAP benefit stuff. You shouldn't have to work 50 or half the year to pay for somebody else. So when the system breaks, when a crash hits, your stocks won't save you, and your dollars won't either. But one thing will, gold and silver. Gold has always survived the collapse. You can go look that up. Banks and billionaires are investing in gold for a reason, and that's to protect your savings. I highly recommend you do the same before the next shoe drops. Don't wait for headlines. When a panic sets in, it's too late. Understand the foundational fundamentals that you need to keep your eye on. Call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free 2025 gold investment kit, so when the system breaks, you will have some protection with real physical gold and silver. And with over 3 billion in trusted transactions and thousands of reviews, Lear is the company I trust and do business with, and you can too. By the way, for a limited time, Lear is now giving my channel and people here up to $20,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualified purchase. That's another $5,000 in bonus metals. So I urge you to check it out before that special is gone. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. So let me tell you real quick, while the guys upstairs are banging, I mean, they're banging away up there, aren't they? This is I took it out of plastic, an ounce of silver. When I first started talking to you guys, this thing was probably worth, I don't know, 28 or 30 bucks, maybe a little bit less, maybe about 26. You don't do this for investment. You do this for hedge. You do this so you can hold something in your hand that you know is tangible. And so this tangible ounce of silver right now is probably worth close to 47, 48 bucks or so. So we made a good return just on this one thing, but it's got friends. And I'd like to, provide you with the ability for you to begin putting some of these in your pocket and getting some friends. I want you to go, do I have the image here? I don't know if I have the image with me. Oh boy, shut up there. I don't think I have the image with me here. But anyway, why don't you go to fanfareshop.org/silver and you can enter to win a free ounce of silver. Let me go ahead and let you listen to Jerome Powell while I get the contest put together. Ready? Hold on.
Over time of neutral. If the two goals are sort of equally at risk, then you ought to be at neutral, because one of them's calling for you to hike and one of them's calling for you to cut. So if that got back into balance, then you'd want to be roughly at neutral. So in that sense, it was a risk management. And I would say the same about today, sort of the same logic. But as I mentioned, going forward is a different thing.
Claire. I'm Claire Jones, Financial Times. Thank you for taking this question. We've just heard from you that the the discussion in December, and the conclusion of the discussion is not a foregone conclusion. I'd like to just dig into that a little bit more about what sort of arguments were brought up. Was there any consideration, for instance, of the investment we're seeing in AI and some of the generation of household wealth through rises in stock prices related to the AI boom? Thank you.
You know, I wouldn't say that's a factor in everyone's assessment of the economy. I wouldn't say it's the driving factor. I don't think for anybody. You know, I guess I would say it this way. Once again, I would just point out that we have the situation where the risks are to the upside for inflation and to the downside for employment. We have one tool. It can't do both of those. You can't address both of those at once. You've got a very different situation. So you have some people have different forecasts, right? So they'll forecast faster or slower progress on one or the other. And they also have different levels of risk aversion. And, you know, some will be more averse to inflation overruns, and some will be more averse to underruns of employment. And so you put that together, and as you can see from the SEP and from the public discussion that goes on between the meetings when participants go out and talk, they're very disparate views. And they were reflected in strongly differing views in today's meeting, as I pointed out in my remarks. And that's what leads me to say that, you know, that we haven't made a decision about December. You know, I always say that. It's a fact that we don't make decisions in advance. But I'm saying something in addition here, is that it's not to be seen as a foregone conclusion. In fact, far from it.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up on QT? How much of the fund impressions we've seen in money markets are related to the U.S. Treasury issuing more short-term debt?
You know, that could be one of the factors, but the reality is we've seen, you know, the things that we've seen, higher repo rates and federal funds rate moving up. These are the very things that we look for. We actually have a framework for looking at, you know, what the place we're trying to reach. What we said for a long time now is that when we feel like we're a bit above what we consider a level that's ample, that we would freeze the size of the balance sheet. Of course, reserves will continue to decline from that point forward as non-reserve liabilities grow. So,
well, the good thing about him is he's not going to be around too much longer, so we may have to suffer through the December rate cut decision, but soon after that, he goes bye-bye. He's going to go away, and we will have a new Fed chairman. All right, so let me just tell you guys who won the last silver giveaway. It was John Plotkin. John Plotkin, congratulations. Ashley will get a hold of you. So John Plotkin, you are the third winner of the silver ounce. All right, so let's move forward. Let's go ahead and talk and listen to what President Trump had to say over in South Korea. All right, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here. Incredible people, incredible country. I'm thrilled to be back with so many visionary innovators and titans of industry, the most brilliant in the world, actually. So many different locations, and they come from all over, but this is a very special country that I'm in, and the business leaders here at APAC are really fantastic. So many friends, and I want to thank our host at this important summit, President Lee of South Korea. He's a terrific person, and I'm going to be meeting with him this afternoon, and I look forward to that very much. The Republic of Korea is a cherished American friend and a close ally. And as we can see in this beautiful city, it's truly one of the most remarkable nations anywhere on earth. Here in this peninsula, the people of South Korea have forged a miracle of economic development like you rarely see, an industrial and technological powerhouse, and above all, a free society and enduring democracy and a thriving civilization. And I want to congratulate you. Very few places like it. The entire world should be inspired by all that you have achieved, and they study you, and they do so much to understand what you've done, but most of them don't get it, and that's probably good for you. Keep it this way. Most of them don't get it. They want to get it, but it doesn't quite work out for them the same way it works out for you, so that's a great tribute to you. We have some very special people with us today, and I want to thank for the great job he's done, and also for being here, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Marco, you're around here someplace. Where's Marco? Marco, thank you. Man who's doing a fantastic job, who understands the markets maybe better than anybody. Our Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much. And somebody that you're dealing with, who you made a very good deal with, because you have very good negotiators, but he's pretty good too. Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce. Thank you, Howard. U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jameson Greer is a fantastic person. And your career's Minister of Trade, Industry, and Resources, Mr. Jung Kwan Kim, who's an incredible man, actually. My people say he's very tough, however. We wish we had somebody of a little bit lesser caliber, but they decided not to do that. And so many other distinguished guests are here, so I just want to thank you very much. It's an incredible room. It's a beautiful room, by the way. All those beautiful people up there, so high up. This place is packed. Thank you. Look at it, we're waving. Thank you very much. But as you know, APEC unites Pacific nations around our growing economies and promoting our shared interests. And today I come with exciting news from one of the largest Pacific nations. We'll call ourselves a Pacific nation, but one of the largest of them all, the United States of America. I'm pleased to report to you that this afternoon, after 4 years of weakness, disaster, really decline, America is back, and it's back stronger than ever before. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever seen before. We're the hottest country in the world, actually, and I say that with other countries represented, and they admit it. But I do say it very proudly. 1 year ago, our country was in very, very serious trouble. Some people thought our country was dead. Now we're literally sort of an inspiration to a lot of other countries. We are indeed, I use the term hottest country, but we're the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. The United States is blessed with right now, the strongest economy, the strongest borders. This all happened over the last 9 months. The strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is a golden age in a short period of time. I knew we could do it. I didn't know we were going to do it this quickly. It's a little bit more than 9 months. So in less than 1 year, we've secured commitments for over $18 trillion of new investments. As an example, the previous administration, in 4 years, they did less than $1 trillion. I think much less, actually, and hurt our country very badly. Who would have known? But we're going to be 18, so I figure that we'll probably be at 20 or 21, maybe even $22 trillion of investments coming into our country by the end of the first year of my second term. And, we had a tremendously successful first term. We had the strongest economy in history for our country, strongest we ever had. But this is, I think, blowing it away. We have great policy. We have some very good things happening. The stock market, as you know, is set 45 all-time highs since in a period of, it's pretty good, in a period of 9 months, breaking new records week after week, including one just yesterday. We set the record GDP growth in the second quarter, and that's with all of the things that we're doing. When they are built in a year and 2 years, we're going to go through the roof. I mean, we're going to see numbers that I don't think have ever been seen before. But even during this period of a little bit of a period of transition, you could call it, because I think we're in an economic revolution in America. We went at 3.8%. We're up 3.8% GDP, triple and even quadruple the rate that a lot of people thought we'd be. They thought that during this period that we'd be at a much lower rate. Some people predicted 1.5, and we're going to be very close to 4. The next quarter, we're expected to be at about 4% growth. And after that, I mean, I can't even predict, because when all of these factories that are moving in, the car plants are moving in. Yesterday I was with Mr. Toyota in Japan, and he's just announced he's going to spend, they are going to spend $10 billion, and they're going to build new car plants, and they're going to build them in numerous states, about 6 or 7 different states. And we're bringing our car industry back. We're bringing AI. We're leading everybody in AI. We're leading every nation in AI by a lot. In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off food stamps. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And
did you hear that? See, he tells you all you've got to do is listen in terms of what he plans on doing. He wants to get rid of food stamps for people who shouldn't be on food stamps. He's overseas. He's in South Korea, and he just said that.
While energy prices are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, despite the fact that we have an incompetent head of the Fed. He's incompetent. I call him Jerome Too Late. He's always too late. Jerome Too Late Powell. But he's out of there in another couple of months. We'll be very happy about that. We'll appoint somebody that we all like, because we should have the lowest interest rates of any country, because without us, there are no other countries, really. I mean, the whole thing falls apart. You know, America always had the lowest interest rates, and now we don't do that. We're like number 28. It's ridiculous. And we're a much different country than we were 2 years ago or a year ago even. But you know what the crazy thing is? In the old days, I call the old days, I'm a little bit older. I'm looking at all these young, brilliant faces. I'm a slight, a couple of years older than you, just a couple of years. But, in the old days, when you announced good news, the stock market went up. You announced good news, the stock market would go up. Now, when you announce good news, the stock market goes down, because people say, oh, that's terrible. You're doing well, that's terrible. Interest rates will go up. So they think because of that, interest rates will go up because that. It's inverse of what it should be. We're going to go back to the way it used to be. When we announce good news, the stock markets are going to go up. And that's the way it should be. And we're going to really ride that very hard. And when we announce good news, we're not going to have a Fed that's going to raise interest rates because they're worried about inflation in 3 years from now or something. When we announce good news, we want the stock market to go up, not to go down. And the scourge of inflation we inherited. We inherited the worst inflation ever that we've ever had. I inherited from incompetent people, and now we're down to a very low rate of inflation, 2.7%, and it's going to be a little bit lower than that. It's almost a perfect number. Believe it or not, you don't want to have zero. You want to have like 1% to 2%, and we're very close to that number. But we had inflation the worst in the history of our country. But factories are booming in the USA, and manufacturing productivity is rising 5 times faster than it was just 1 year ago. Think of that. Steel production is way up by 155,000 tons a week. Oil production is through the roof by 500,000 barrels a day. And mining of clean, beautiful coal, I call it clean, beautiful coal, is up by 2.6 million tons every single month. And we brought coal back into the picture. What you can do with coal today is incredible. So I call it clean, beautiful. I don't use the word coal, I say, because it's got a little bit of a problem, public relations-wise, the word. So we call it clean, beautiful. My administration's not allowed to use the word coal. They have to say clean, beautiful coal. We've given it a new name. It's a three-name deal. Even semiconductor manufacturing is rapidly returning to the United States. NVIDIA and TSMC have just produced the first state-of-the-art Blackwell chip that was 100% made in the USA. In fact, Jensen, who's an incredible guy, he might be here. I don't even know. Is Jensen here? I think he's around. Somebody said he's here. How is he? Pretty good, right? Got a chip that's like 10 years advanced, but he's great. And they're all, building now. They're building tremendous plants in the United States, Arizona, Texas, all over. We're going to have a big portion of the chip market just in a very short period of time. But these tremendous strides are also creating great jobs for our citizens. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today than when I took office 9 months ago. Think of that. Almost 2 million people more American workers. Nobody's ever had numbers like that. And those numbers are going to get much bigger, much better than that when we open these plants that are being built all over, the AI plants. I've never seen plants this big. I built shopping centers. I built a lot of things. But if you spend $250, $300 million, you can build a big shopping center. These people are spending $50 billion to build a building. And I say, what's your product? Information. I said, well, good luck. That's a lot of information you're going to have. But, they're the smartest people in the world are doing it, and they all think it's great. All I can do is make it easy for them. And what I've done, one of the things that I'm most proud of, because I thought of it like every, country, our electricity production, our energy production is not, it's not, nobody ever saw this kind of a revolution with the AI. And what they need more than anything is electricity. So if a country was able to do that, it would be, pretty unusual. It would be very hard, maybe you could say impossible. So I came up with a concept when they build a massive plant, sometimes the size of Manhattan. Think of that. The size of Manhattan, these plants are the biggest. I've never seen anything like it, actually. Nobody has. There's never been anything like it. But I let them build their own electricity generating plants with it. So they're building their own electric. They're sort of becoming an electric producing company in addition to all of the other things that they produce, including information. And what they're able to do is start immediately. We're giving them very fast permits. We're no longer having them wait for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years prior to rejection. They'd go 15 years and then they'd get a vote, a rejection. And by that time, their concepts were old and obsolete anyway. So, it's terrible. And we're getting it done rapidly, literally rapidly. And they're coming up with electric generating plants, the likes of which nobody has seen. The companies are standard companies that do electricity and create power companies. They've never seen anything like it because we have a level of genius, a level of people that are designing things that nobody's ever seen before that produces vast amounts of electricity for their plant. And if they have extra electricity, they sell it back into the grid. So they really, it's really been amazing. And it allows people to start building immediately, and they can't blame the government. They won't blame me because I didn't produce enough out of the grid that's 200 years old. So we have more people now working than at any time in the history of our country. And we've sort of just begun. It's hard to believe, actually, if you knew where we were 2 years ago. All of this is incredible news for Americans and for nations around the globe, and it is for South Korea because we're partners. We're serious partners. We're wedded, and we have a very special relationship, a special bond. In fact, we're working with you on shipbuilding, where you're going to come in. We were the #1 in the world during World War II. We produced a ship a day. Can you believe it? Tankers and freighters and this, a ship a day. And today we're not really building ships, and we're going to start, and we're going to have a very thriving shipbuilding industry, and we're working it with South Korea very much so. In fact, some of the people in this room, they bought the Philadelphia shipyard. I think it's going to be one of the most successful yards in the world, anywhere in the world. It's great. Known for incredible production years ago, and sort of through bad management or bad thinking by people that were prior to me. I mean, you have to blame the president. You can give the president credit or blame the president, but I blame the president. They allowed the shipbuilding industry to go away, essentially, in our country. We're going to bring it back very, very powerfully. When America thrives, our partners thrive, and Our alliances thrive with all of the countries. The Indo-Pacific thrives, and that's good for all of us. And the entire world becomes safer and wealthy and greater than ever before. We get along with a lot of countries. We solved a lot of wars and a lot of problems, and that's all good for all of us. The extraordinary American turnaround that I've just described has been achieved not by just continuing business as usual back in Washington. If I didn't win the election, and we won it in a landslide, we won by tremendous numbers. I had a whole thing too big, you have to say, too big to rig. We didn't want any rigging. We had these great polls going in. I said, don't believe the polls. Pretend we're 1 point down. Always assume we're 1 point down. And everybody voted. We won in a landslide. We won all 7 swing states. You have to win the swing states. And we won all 7, which is something that rarely happens. But to win the popular vote by millions, we won everything you can win. The Electoral College by a tremendous amount. We won in counties. They have counties, thousands of counties. And we were 2,700 compared to 525 actually. So think of that. We were 2,750 compared to 525. And that's why the map shows all red. Red being Republican, not something else. Red being Republican. Only a few people understand that one. My administration has rejected the old model of incompetent government that punished success and rewarded failure and made building anything almost impossible. When you come into our country, and many of you are doing that, but when you come into America, you're going to get service like you've never seen before. Quick permits, and we want safety, we want great environmental, we want everything good, but it's going to go quickly. We're rewarding those who build and create and hire and invest in the USA, and we're making America the best place on earth to do business, and that's what it's become very quickly. We have some wonderful people. Lee Zeldin at Environmental, he's incredible. He gets the right result quickly, and he makes sure that people do the right thing. But we will have the best tax rates, the lowest energy costs. We have the lowest energy. We have tremendous amounts of energy, more than anybody else. We have the most oil and gas and coal, more than any other nation on earth. So that's a big advantage that we have over others. We have the lowest regulatory burden. In my first term, we cut more regulations than any other administration in history, and we're going to do about the same level right now or more if we can. The most advanced technology and the fairest trade deals anywhere in the world. And for decades before I took office, our country was run by legions of bureaucrats who were always looking for a reason to say no. Why? How can we say no? They wanted to say no. They thought that was their job, and it's really just the opposite. We work to say yes. So now we have a president in the White House who cuts through the red tape and excuses. We don't stand for excuses, and says yes to big ideas and bold initiatives and grand ambitions so that America can have great industries, great dreams, and to be the greatest nation on earth, which is where we are now, actually, in a very short period of time. We're rebuilding things that are incredible. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the best equipment. We have the best manufacturers of equipment. And South Korea is buying a lot of our weapons. We make the best. We have the planes and just about everything other than ships. So we'll be there very shortly with ships, too. But the only reason it's not ships, because, I don't know, for some reason they stopped doing that. I guess they went on to other businesses. But there are some basics in life, and one of the things you need is ships. I always say you need steel, you need aluminum, you need this. There are things you don't need. A lot of things that a country doesn't need them, but things you need steel. Got to have steel, and we're redoing our steel, and some of the people in this room are very involved in that. We're redoing our industry. We're starting to produce large amounts of steel, massive amounts of steel. We'll be right at the top in a very short period of time. The mills are opening again, and they're opening up big. And again, it's national security, and it's because of tariffs. We're reclaiming our heritage as a nation of builders and doers, and we're pioneers in a sense, but we're really doing it again, but we're doing it even better than we did the first time, which is the first couple of 100 years. And we're pursuing this vision with unrelenting drive and really unprecedented success. In July, I proudly sounded law. It was very important. I went into the archives. We looked at every possible thing you could look at, and I signed into law the largest tax cuts in American history. And as you remember, in my first term, we cut taxes from 39% down to 21%. And now we've done even better than that, putting more money in the pockets of American families that make up the largest consumer market on earth. For businesses and manufacturers like those in this room, our tax law includes 100% expensing for all new factories, plants, and equipment. So that means you can write everything off in the first year. So that's like we had in the first, except this goes for a period of 10 years. Whereas the other was over a much shorter period of time. And I actually think that we had such tremendous success. I always said that was the single most important thing, the expensing, the one-year expensing. Upon taking office, I signed executive orders that require that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations have to be eliminated. I did that in the first term, too, and it worked. So if you want a new regulation, you have to get rid of 10, and already we're exceeding that limit, reaching closer to 30 to 1. Our people have done that, our great secretaries and other people in the administration. So we've been actually at a level where we sign in a new regulation, they get rid of 30 old. We're sort of cleaning up the books because many of these regulations are obsolete, they don't belong, and some were so horrible they were obsolete, but they really stopped projects from being built, and we're getting rid of all of them. We've pretty much done that. We have streamlined permitting for all new energy and mining projects. It used to take decades for an administration to get something approved, and now it's a process that will take, generally speaking, less than 28 days. In addition, across government, we're guaranteeing a rapid and expedited regulatory review for all new projects in the United States, and that's worth billions and billions of dollars to industry. You spent more money on trying to get something approved than you do in building the plant itself. You know, in Louisiana, my first term, there were 2 plants, and one was financed by a tremendous group of Japanese investors, and it was about $16 billion, LNG plants. Another one was financed by people from South Korea and others. LNG, both of them, massive LNG. They were in the review process. One was 15 years, one was 16 or 17 years, and they were then told, forget it. We're not going to get it approved. So I came into government. I heard about it, and I love Louisiana. We did very well there. We did well in just about all the states, but we did really well in Louisiana. And so I got involved. The one plant that was in for almost 15 years, I got it approved in 1 day. 1 day. In fact, when we called the people to say that they got approved, they didn't know what the hell we were talking about. They said, you got it approved. We sort of gave up on it. I said, no, you don't have to give up. We got it approved. The other one took me a little bit longer. I didn't do as good a job. It took me 1 week. And they got approved, and they got built. They're massive plants, and they're doing unbelievably. They're like setting records, LNG, big, it's like the Empire State Building lying on its side. And all I know is, I looked at it. I said, what kind of a building is that? All it's got is pipes going back and forth. I never saw anything like it. But whatever it is, it works. And they've been very, very successful. But think of it, 14 and 15 years, and I got one approved in 1 day and one approved in 1 week, and they've been doing great, and they've been good for the environment. I've shrunk the size of government for the first time in many years since January. 100,000 bureaucrats have left the federal payroll. You've probably seen that. So we're creating real jobs. We're getting rid of wasteful jobs. Government spending is down 2.5% this quarter compared to 1 year ago. It was going through the roof in the previous administration. And in stark contrast to 4 years ago. I mean, if you look, 100% of all new jobs created in America under my administration have been created by the private sector. Think of that. The government created no new jobs. The private sector created the record number of jobs that we're talking about. That's a country. That's really a success. It's easy to create government jobs. I could say, add a lot of people to your payrolls. I can fake up the numbers if I want, but that's not the way you build a great country. You don't do that here, and that's not the way. But it's a good way to show good numbers, I'll tell you. You just tell everybody, hire a lot of people. That's what they used to do under the Biden administration, under Barack Hussein Obama. You had, they'd say, hire a lot of people so we can make our numbers look good. I do the opposite. And we have real numbers. These are real numbers. There's truly no better time to invest in the USA. The results speak for themselves. Since the election, TSMC has pledged to invest $100 billion in the United States. So they're coming in from Taiwan. We have tremendous numbers of companies coming from Taiwan and building in the U.S. Apple, $600 billion investment. Hyundai, $26 billion. Micron, $200 billion. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, over $500 billion. Amazon, $35 billion. Pfizer, $70 billion. Jera, $200 billion. Google, $25 billion. NVIDIA, $500 billion. Genentech, $50 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $57. We're bringing back all of our pharmaceutical business. IBM, $150 billion. AstraZeneca, $50 billion, among many others, many others. Too many to talk about. But one of the...
No. Keep talking about it. That's the problem. Nobody other than him is talking about these numbers. And it's funny because he rattles them off. And I think it glazes people over because people can't conceive that these numbers are actually happening. Trillions, $20 trillion being brought back to America, and you got people worried about the Epstein list.
The most significant factors in this remarkable surge of new investment has been my transformation of trade policy. 8 years ago, I came to this very summit. I was here. Does anybody remember? I don't know. I remember. Does anybody remember what I said? Yeah, there's a few hands up there. It must have been a great speech. 3 people. It's not too many people. But there's no reason to, because you saw whatever I said, I did. And for the first time, I laid out the principle that economic security is national security. Economic security, that's for South Korea, that's for any country. But economic security is, in fact, national security. I made the case that the global trading system was broken and in urgent need of reform, had to be fixed. The system had been exploited by countries that broke the rules at the expense of countries that followed the rules to a T, and asked the nations of APEC to be our partners in making the system fair and more sustainable for all of us, and we all work together, the APEC nations. 8 years later, as I'm back here in Asia, and I'm pleased to say that the positive vision for revolutionary reform I laid out, it seems like a long time ago, is now a reality. What really seems amazing is that we did all these things. We stopped a lot of wars. We did so many different things, made our country strong. Thank you. Thank you. And the campaign seemed like so long ago, and I was reading something today in one of the journals, and they said, can you believe it? 1 year ago, I was campaigning to win. Think of that. It was about a week. In a week, it'll be November 5th. And November 5th was the election. I said, can you imagine that? Here I am, president. We've done so many different things economically, militarily, peace-wise, peace through strength. And yet, 1 year ago, it's not long ago, I was campaigning. We didn't win. We were campaigning, and then we had the election, and we had a great election. And the spirit in our country is like incredible if you compare that. We lost a lot of spirit in our country. Our country is depressed. They were very depressed, and they had a right to be. But around the world, we're signing one trade deal after another to balance our relationships on the basis of reciprocity. Very important word. On this trip alone, I've signed groundbreaking agreements with Malaysia, Cambodia, Japan. Our deal with the Republic of Korea will be finalized very soon, like moments or very shortly thereafter. These agreements will be incredible victories for all of us, because everyone is better off when we have stable partnerships, not plagued by chronic problems and imbalances. Probably you know that President Xi of China is coming tomorrow here, and we're going to be, I hope, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both. And that's really a great result. That's better than fighting and going through all sorts of problems and, no reason for it. I think it's going to be a great deal for both, so I'll be meeting him tomorrow. A lot of people are interested. They're also interested in what we're doing, but they're interested in that. I can tell you a lot. The world is watching, and I think we'll have something that's very exciting for everybody, and that's also good for South Korea. That's good for It's good for all nations. We're ending gaping trade deficits, unfair trade barriers to market access, insecure supply chains, weak, pathetic supply chains, and much, much more. We had such bad supply chains under the last administration. It was embarrassing. And we're entering a new era of trade that truly works for both sides. We're got to work for everybody. You know, deals have to be good for everybody. I've heard that all the time, and I never really believed it, I'll be honest. I said, if you make a great deal. The best deals are deals that work for everybody, especially when you're talking about nations. You know, when you're talking about nations, it really is a little bit different than you're doing a business deal and you want to just rip their hearts out, right? These guys know what I mean. They've ripped out so many hearts. But when you have nations, it's a little bit different, you know? You gotta all balance out a little bit. When I announced reciprocal tariffs last April, some people thought it was wonderful and others really weren't so sure. They weren't sure. They didn't understand tariffs because tariffs were used against us. We didn't use tariffs stupidly. And we do now. National security. This week we proved once and for all that there were no critics left. The only critics are people that took advantage of us for many years, and now they're not able to do that. The deals we're signing with our friends and partners are making our alliances closer and stronger than ever before, and they respect us because it was so foolish. The people that ran our country were so foolish. With these agreements, our nations will extend our vital security alliances into the realm of economic security for the first time ever. We're forging new partnerships on strategically important industries like shipbuilding, energy, semiconductors, critical minerals, and, very important pharmaceuticals. We learned that during COVID. We had to rely on other countries to give us pharmaceuticals. You can't do that. You have to, certain industries you want to have there. You want to have your medicines made, ideally, in your own country. Many of our agreements also include deepening collaboration of industries of the future, such as nuclear, quantum, artificial intelligence, where America is number one by a lot. Actually, we're really number one by a lot. We're number one in military consequence. We're number one in military in the quality of the weapons. That's why everyone wants to buy for us. I'll tell you what we have a long lead on is submarines, nuclear submarines. We are so far advanced that by perhaps 20, 25 years. We're 25 years ahead of any competition. And not only are the tariffs strengthening our alliances, they're also bringing peace to the world. On Sunday in Malaysia, we signed the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accords, ending forever the war between Cambodia and Thailand. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's interesting. We were making trade deals with Cambodia and with Thailand, and I sort of watch what I do. I don't go to the beach and sleep all day. I like to watch. And I see Cambodia, Thailand, among many other nations, and this is true for numerous other deals too, but I see Cambodia, Thailand, and I read a front page story about the fact that there were thousands of dead people along the border, and they fought for a long time, and I said, wait a minute, we're making deals, and they're starting a war? They were just starting, and it was vicious. Thousands of people were killed along the border, their two borders. And I said, let's call the head. I didn't know the heads of either one. I called them. They were both great people and sort of reasonable. I said, listen, you want a trade deal? We're not going to make a deal with you if you're going to be in war. Then I called Cambodia. I called Thailand. I called Cambodia, back and forth. And after about 2 days, we ended up with the help of Malaysia. Malaysia was like a mediator. We used a beautiful facility in Malaysia because it was too hot. The other two, and I don't mean hot weather-wise. I mean it was hot. It was too hot with bullets flying all over the place. And Malaysia was fantastic, and they helped implement it. The prime minister was great guy. Just left him. And within 2 days, we signed a deal. And the two people came in, they were like best friends. It was a beautiful thing to see. We saved, probably millions of lives. They've had a tempestuous relationship I said, for how many years? 500 years. I said, that's a long time. That's a long time. But we think this is going to be, hopefully, I use the word everlasting. Same thing in the Middle East. We hope it's going to be everlasting peace. They've never had peace. They've 3,000 years, and we signed in the Middle East. But I've ended 8 wars in 8 months, and in many instances, trade has played a big part in getting those wars ended. On top of it all, tariffs now projected to reduce our deficit by $4 trillion over the next 10 years, and I think actually much more than that. That's national security, because you can't have deficits and you can't have debt all over the place. And it stops inflation and strengthening the dollar and ultimately balancing our federal budget, which I think we're going to do very quickly, only because of our policy of fair tariffs. And for any company that does not wish to pay the tariff, I say, you could build your factory in America. If you build your factory in America, there are zero tariffs. But, again, going back to the wars, it's so important. If you look at India and Pakistan, so I'm doing a trade deal with India, and I have great respect and love. As you know, for Prime Minister Modi, we have a great relationship. Likewise, the Prime Minister of Pakistan is a great guy, and the Field Marshal, they have a Field Marshal. You know why he's a Field Marshal? He's a great fighter. He really is. He's a great guy, too. And so I know them all. And I'm reading that 7 planes were shot down. They're going at it, and they're really starting to go. And it's a big thing. These are 2 nuclear nations, and they're really going at it. And I called Prime Minister Modi. I said, we can't make a trade deal with you. No, we must make a trade deal. I said, no, we can't. You're starting a war with Pakistan. We're not going to do it. And then I called Pakistan. I said, we're not going to do trade with you because you're fighting with India. And, 2 nuclear nations. And they said, no, you should let us fight. They both said that. They're warring. They're strong people, I'll tell you what. Prime Minister Modi is the nicest looking guy. He says, and he looks like you'd like to have your father, he's a killer. He's tough as hell. No, we will fight. I said, whoa, this is the same man that I know. But after a little while, and they're good people, and after literally 2 days, they called up and they said, we understand, and they stopped fighting. How is that? Isn't that amazing? Now, you think Biden would have done that? I don't think so. Most people wouldn't have thought of it, but, they wouldn't have thought of it. No, but here we are, we're doing deals. So you add an extra sentence, and you say you have to stop shooting at each other. 7 planes were shot down. You have to stop the war. And they stopped the war. And if it weren't for the tariffs, I said I was going to put 250% tariffs on each country, which means that you'll never do business. In other words, there's nothing you can sell for 250%. That means that's a nice way of saying we don't want to do business with you. You don't have to say that, because that's a nasty, we don't want to do business. No. You say we're going to put 250% tariffs if you don't stop the war. And they understood that, and within 48 hours we had no war, no people killed. I mean, it's makes me feel so good. It's we saved millions and millions of lives with all of them. Azerbaijan, if you look at just take a look at that one. That was going on for, I think, 38 years, right? And President Putin called me. He said, it's amazing. It's amazing. We couldn't get that war stopped. 38 years it went on. Millions of people killed. And we got it done. And the 2 countries came in, and they were in the White House, and they started off here. And they got closer, 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 closer. After an hour, they were hugging each other in peace. It was amazing, actually. It was beautiful to see 2 very good countries, 2 very good leaders. One was there for 22 years, one was there for 7. And they both said, my entire political life, all I did was shoot people on the other side. And we got it closed up. And we did that 8 times. The only one I didn't do is Russia, Ukraine, but that'll get done too. That'll get done. I thought that was going to be an easy one because of my relationship with President Putin. He turned out to be a little different, but I think it'll get done. It's would have never started if I were president. That war would have never, ever started. So we've used trade to create peace in a lot of different locations. We also solved the war in Africa, Congo, Republic of Congo, and Rwanda. That was much smaller to do with trade, more to do with common sense. They were fighting for years 10 million people were dead, and we got that one done too. So we did a lot of them. We did 8 in 8 months. And I think the other one's going to come along. I really think so. I thought that would have been one of the easier. Who would have thought we created peace in the Middle East but didn't get Russia and Ukraine? Because peace in the Middle East was undoable. They're shaking their heads. It was undoable. We got it done. 3,000 years, okay? They never had peace. They never had anything like it. We have all countries signed up, and the level of spirit and everything. I think it's going to hold for a long time, hopefully forever. Hopefully that's an everlasting one, too. So in conclusion, at some point in your careers, every great business person and CEO in this room today has faced critics who said reform, innovation, and bold action would only lead to a total disaster, but none of us would be here if we had listened to the small minds with no vision. These are small minds with no vision. They had no understanding of success. They had no understanding of life and death. True success comes from having the confidence and the courage to prove the doubters wrong. And oftentimes you'll go the opposite way of almost everybody, and you'll be the one that's right, and the others will be the one that's wrong. And that's where you have your greatest successes. And that's what America and our Indo-Pacific partners really are doing this week, and what our businesses and entrepreneurs do each and every day. That's what you do, the most successful people in the world. Together we're solving the challenges that no one before us has ever been able to solve, and we're forging a free and open Indo-Pacific, and for all of the people, we're creating a future of dignity and security, prosperity and pride. From the rolling hills of San Francisco to the gleaming streets of Seoul, from the bustling factories of Toledo, Ohio, to the bright lights of Tokyo, from Pittsburgh to Palawan, from Boston to Bangkok, from Detroit to Da Nang, and from Cleveland to right here in Gwangju. Nice place. Did I do good with that one? Did I do okay? Gwangju. Good, beautiful place, by the way. We're strengthening old friendships, forging new bonds, building new factories, pioneering new industries, and creating a dramatically better world for our children and for generations to come. Together we will build a future of strong, independent nations on both sides of the vast ocean, joined by our common interests, united by common values, and reaching constantly toward a richer, safer, and more peaceful Pacific with fairness, persistence, and common sense. That's such an important 2 words. We will build together, we will trade together, we will prosper together, we will thrive together, and above all, we will win together like never before. We're going to have an incredible relationship together for generations to come. And I just want to thank everybody in the room. I know so many of you. You're incredible people. God bless you. God bless the nations of this great region, and God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody.
I would have loved for him to break out the YMCA over in South Korea. That would have been epic. Definitely epic. You know, as you watch, and again, as you listen to what he says, and one of the reasons why he's, I guess you could say, so repetitive is because he's a marketer. He understands that people have to hear a message 7, 10 times to understand what is happening. And we have proof. There are people here in the chat who have not been clearly listening to what President Trump has been saying. And so when you're not listening specifically to his words, and you know the media isn't going to enhance or repeat what he's saying, it just gets lost. So he has to keep telling you, here's what we're doing. I started picking up, I don't know, obviously right after the New York rally, when Howard Lutnick spoke. And you guys know I've played that many a times. When we're going to be so rich, tariffs. And it has stayed in my mind the entire time. And I even thought and said, how's he going to do this? How is that going to work? And as we've seen over the last 10 months, it is working. It is absolutely working. It is turning our country around. It's completely changing things. I can't imagine what will happen if the Supreme Court says they've got to return all this tariff money. That's why you need to be getting some gold and silver, because everything right now looks fantastic. We're on a rocket ship. But if the Supreme Court comes back some way and says that President Trump can't charge these countries tariffs, we're in big, big, big trouble. Big trouble. So that's why just be like a squirrel right now, putting your nuts together, holding them, putting them aside, because other people aren't. They're not understanding it. They're not realizing that things look great, but it could change like that. Hopefully the Supreme Court does the right thing. If SCOTUS does do the right thing, then at the same time, you better make sure you've got a harness and a strong seatbelt, because things are going to take off. So be ready either way. Have your hedge in case something happens, and then have your seatbelt and be prepared to take advantage of what's going to happen. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that's happening down here. Ron DeSantis is getting us really set up for November in terms of what happens after Mondami gets elected, which he will be. But that wasn't it. President Trump's, there's like two or three more events in terms of where he speaks at. We're going to get to that in a second. Hey, did you guys know that U.S. life expectancy peaked at 78 years in 2014? It's been all downhill since then, and global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years because people are aging faster than ever before. This is due to more toxins in the air, chemicals in our soil and food, and other external factors that are new to us. What most people don't know is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level. You guys know I've been talking to you about kimchi, and kimchi is one of those things that can help you fight aging. Scientists discovered that kimchi actually slows down the aging process of human cells. The power of nature can outweigh the power of pharmaceuticals without the nasty side effects. Now you can get those same benefits in a simple capsule with Kimchi One. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, plus antioxidants and enzymes that support your digestion, your metabolism, and your skin health from the inside out. As we age, we become more susceptible to microbial threats. Kimchi is a natural antimicrobial, helping your body fight off harmful bacteria, viruses, and even toxins. You've seen RFK Jr. You've seen what kind of shape he's in. All of this works. It boosts your immunity and your energy. I almost think Trump's taking it as well, in addition to RFK Jr., because I don't know how he can keep up that schedule. I'm telling you, I have to keep up with it, and my wife, Robin's always telling me, you better make sure you're stocked up on everything. Best of all, Kimchi One is 100% made in the USA, all natural and non-GMO. Support your gut, protect your cells, and feel younger every day from Kimchi with Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition. And you can get Kimchi One right now. You can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link in the description below, or you can use the code BARRY for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. That's 888-418-6738. And you guys have seen Kim and Ellie and a couple of people have been on the show. They're great people, so if you really need something, give them a call. Before we get to the show, I also want to tell you about another great, it's not a product per se, but it is a great partner we have here. And I got an email, no BS, I got an email 2 days ago. Actually, Ashley got the email, and then she forwarded it to me, that somebody had called Chapter and they were ecstatic because the people at Chapter really helped them. See, if you guys don't know, Chapter is an unbelievable Medicare counseling service. And as you're well aware, Medicare annual enrollment is happening now. And as a newly minted 65-year-old myself, that means I've been getting buried under the same spam calls and junk mail you have been. It's a nightmare. I have also learned that Medicare plans change every single year. Apparently, some even go away. So for those of us that love our plans today, it might not be the best one for you in 2026. And if you don't double check, you could lose coverage for doctors or prescriptions that you count on. To make matters worse, most Medicare agents are pushy salespeople that work on commission, and they'll push you into the plan that pays them the most. That's why I personally recommend Chapter for the Fanfare family. They check every single plan in America to make sure you get the best deal. And on average, they can save people $1,100 a year. They saved the lady who emailed us like $420. Fantastic. It also has Cadillac plans. So if you're not worried about saving money, but you want to make sure you got the best coverage possible, give them a call. They'll make it dead simple for you. They'll review all your options in one free call. It'll take less than 20 minutes. And if you're already on the right plan, you're done. If not, they'll help you switch. Sounds like an elephant out there. So get some peace of mind during this enrollment period. Call Chapter at 475-328-3545 and make sure you're set heading into 2026. All right, so I'm about to let's go ahead and continue. As I said, President Trump has a couple different events that he went to. So let's pick up on the next one.
President, you are the first American president to receive this medal.
무궁한 영원의 의미를 훈장에 새겨진. Here it comes. There's the crown. There's the crown for the king, along with the necklace. Tell me that the people in South Korea didn't intentionally decide to punk the Democrats. Just completely blow this no kings thing out of the water by giving President Trump this priceless heirloom crown. A crown. Oh my gosh.
And victory. The gold crown symbolizes honor befitting the best of leaders.
이 훈장을 통해 트럼프 대통령께서 보여주신 평화 수호 의지와 강한 리더십 그리고 한미 관계에 대한 헌신에 대해서 최고의 존경과 감사의 마음을 표합니다.
As we give this medal to you, we convey our highest respect and appreciation to you for demonstrating the will to defend peace, strong leadership, and dedication to the Korea-U.S. relationship.
How many are you with me that put in the chat that you want to see him get off Air Force One when he gets back wearing this crown or some facsimile so he doesn't have to break the glass with this priceless heirloom, but he's got to walk out with the crown, man. I got to see him with the crown. Please, President Trump, wear the crown. 한반도 평화를 위한 대화의 물꼬를 펴주신 트럼프 대통령님의 업적을 기리면서 앞으로 한반도에 가져다 주신 평화와 번영에 미리 감사하는 마음으로 이 훈장을 드립니다.
To honor your achievements in paving the way toward peace on the Korean Peninsula 6 years ago, and in anticipation of the peace and prosperity you will bring to the Korean Peninsula, we present you this medal with our deepest appreciation.
Thank you very much. Wow. That's as beautiful as it could possibly be. I always cherish it. Very special.
대한민국 국민들이 우리 대통령님께 그런 감사의 마음을 담아서 드리고 있습니다.
The people of Korea are awarding you with this medal with their deep appreciation.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor, and we're going to keep it very good. Korea is very, very special. We have a very great relationship, and it will continue and only get stronger. Thank you very much.
대단히 감사합니다. 소중히 간직하겠습니다. 한국과 미국은 아주 강력한 동맹관계이고 앞으로도 이것을 통해서 더욱더 굳건한 동맹관계가 지속될 것으로 생각합니다.
That is really beautiful. I'd like to wear it right now. Thank you so much. We'll cherish it. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
소중히 간직하겠습니다. 대단히 감사합니다.
다음은 이재명 대통령께서 트럼프 대통령을 위해 준비하신 선물입니다.
Next is a gift from President Lee Jae-myung to President Trump.
한반도를 최초로 통일한 고대왕국 신라의 대표적인 인물 천마총 금관입니다.
This is the Cheonmachong gold crown, which is a key artifact that represents the Silla dynasty, the first Korean kingdom to unite the Korean peninsula.
천마총 금관은 현존하는 신라의 금관 6점 중에 가장 화려하고 큰 금관입니다.
This gold crown is the largest and most extravagant of the 6 existing gold crowns from the Silla period.
천마총 금관은 하늘의 권위, 지상의 통치를 연결하는 신성함, 그리고 지도자의 강력한 리더십과 권위를 상징합니다.
The Cheonmachong gold crown symbolizes the divine connection between the authority of the heavens and sovereignty on earth, as well as the strong leadership and authority of a leader.
경주를 국빈으로 찾으신 우리 트럼프 대통령님께 한반도의 처음으로 평화를 가져온 신라의 정신과 함께 한미 동맹의 푸른 길을 상징하는 이 금관을 선물로 준비하였습니다.
We present this gold crown to you on this joyous occasion of your state visit to Gyeongju, because it symbolizes the spirit of Silla, which brought peace to the Korean peninsula for the first time, and the opening of the golden age of the Korea-U.S. alliance.
한국과 미국 간의 새로운 시대를 위해
To new trust and companionship between Korea and the United States.
Absolutely, that's right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank Thank you very much.
여러분 대단히 감사합니다.
네. 세단이 먼저 이동하겠습니다. 세단 먼저 이동하겠습니다. 세단이 먼저 이동하고.
Come on, you gotta wear it somewhere. Get one that's a facsimile of something, a replica, but he gotta put that on. We gotta see him walk somewhere. Walk into the White House, walk into the next press conference or something with the crown on. All right, so now this is the next thing he went to.
Long desired.
Oh, by the way, the feed kind of stops a couple times, but you're gonna hear everything.
Goal. And as I mentioned many times, you have wonderful capabilities and skills as a peacemaker. And if you can help us and if you can establish peace on the Korean Peninsula, then we will support you so that you can become a peacemaker on the Korean Peninsula as well. Chairman Kim, I hope, will see your true heart and intention. This time, your meeting with Chairman Kim did not happen, but I am very happy that you are willing and open to having a dialogue with Chairman Kim, and the posture itself is a lot for us. And so far, Chairman Kim has not really accepted your good intention and your gesture. So this time it did not happen. But I believe that we've been planting good seeds for a better future. And I hope that your gestures and your words will serve as an opportunity to further open up opportunities for better relations. And we will continue to support your endeavor. As you may know very well, on the Korean Peninsula, a war is going on, technically speaking. So the two Koreas are at war, technically, but with the help of the U.S. and the international community, we have been able to grow our economy and advance our country. And going forward, our bilateral relations are going to focus on modernizing our alliance so that our alliance can become more comprehensive and strategic. Korea has decided to increase our national budget for defense. So military spending and the defense budget will be expanded to further strengthen our military capabilities. As you may know very well, the current defense budget of the Republic of Korea is about 1.4 times of the total GDP of the DPRK. So our budget, our military spending is quite significant, and we're ranked number 5 in terms of our military spending. So already it's quite a lot of money. However, I know that it is important to continue to lessen your burden, military and defense burden for us. So we will continue to increase our military spending. Furthermore, I'd like to mention a few things. When I met with you last time, I didn't have a chance to explain in further detail, so there may be some misunderstanding. But supply of nuclear energy and nuclear fuel for submarines, then we will be assisting building submarines and military vessels. And if we are equipped with nuclear-powered submarines, we can help your activities around this region by providing the patrol and other activities. I understand that you have already expressed support for reprocessing of spent fuel and enrichment of uranium. And if you facilitate the working level consultations between our two countries regarding that, we will be able to achieve good results. And you are now working to make America greater again. And I can see that there has been a lot of achievements. And last night I checked that your stock indexes have hit another record high. So you are indeed making America great again. And so against this backdrop, Korean companies will continue to invest in the U.S., and we will continue to support your endeavor in revitalizing your manufacturing sectors, and shipbuilding sector cooperation will also continue because this will benefit the Korean economy as well, and it will benefit the U.S. economy. And all these efforts will further advance and strengthen our bilateral alliance and relations. We have 50 million people in Korea, and along with our Korean people, once again, I welcome you to the Republic of Korea, and I hope that we will continue to work together for better Korea, for better U.S., and also for better bilateral alliance. Welcome once again. Thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, and I want to thank all of your people, many of whom I know, and we've been dealing. They're very tough negotiators, and that's the way it should be. And I will say that we're working together. There's a great love between our communities, between our people, between leadership, and we're all friends. I know you showed me a picture from a long time ago of you and I, and you're looking better now than you did then. That was quite a while ago, so you're doing something well. But I will say this, that the Korean Peninsula, and I know you are officially at war, but we will see what we can do to get that all straightened out. We've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate to be able to solve a lot of problems in the world. I didn't even know there were so many problems. There were countries that nobody knew that they were even fighting, and yet they were killing millions and millions of people. And we got them with the exception of one, which I think we're going to get straightened out, Russia, Ukraine. But we got them all done, all finished. And you know that I'll be working on this very hard with you, with your team, with a lot of other people, see if we can do something that makes sense. I know Kim Jong-un very well. We get along very well. We really weren't able to work out timing. We have President Xi is coming tomorrow, and that was something that obviously is very important to the world, to all of us. You'll be watching very carefully. We're meeting right here, and we're all looking forward to that. I think it's going to work out very, very well for everybody, and I look forward to seeing him. And that was our focus really for this visit. But we'll have other visits, and we'll work very hard with Kim Jong-un and with everybody on getting things straightened out, because that makes sense. You know, I have a couple of phrases that I like. One of them is common sense. It's common sense that should work out, and I feel certain that it will. It may take a little time. You have to have a little patience, but I feel absolutely certain that it will. In the meantime, what you've done is amazing. What you've, first of all, the welcome and the beautiful honor you bestowed on me as the only American president. That's really a great tribute to our country. Not to me, it's a great tribute to our country, but I had it focused toward you as opposed to against you, which some people did. What you've done and what you've created, what you've done in really a very short period of time, relatively speaking, is amazing. It's really amazing. And you're working with us now on shipbuilding because you become a master of shipbuilding. You know, during World War II, we were the biggest. We were number one by far, the United States. And then through a series of very bad decisions or lack of caring, we really didn't make ships very much anymore. We made other things.
Nothing to worry about. I'm still here. That the feed that was covering that dropped for a second. Okay, no worries.
At the top, or at least toward the top, in a pretty short period of time. But we have a lot of industries that are together, and we have a lot of industries where we're leading. We're leading in AI now. We're leading in different things. We have many car companies coming back, as you know, to the United States. Yesterday I was in Japan, and $10 billion on building car plants, numerous car plants throughout the country with American workers, largely American workers. And we have many of them opening. So we have a lot of industry coming back. Tremendous. I will tell you, driving up in the Beast, that's called the Beast. Driving up in the Beast, the limo, with those very powerful people carrying very vicious-looking weapons. It was something. That was some spectacle and some beautiful scene, and I know what goes to making that happen. But it was so perfect, so flawlessly done, and all of us, I can speak for my entire cabinet and all the people with me, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. So I just want to thank you for that. That was a very special welcome, and it will be remembered. And Marco, I think you're working extremely well with the defensive side, defense and offense. You know, we have both defense and offense, and they're equally as good. In fact, our defense is very important from the standpoint of helping other countries. But we're going to take care of, we're going to work with you, and we're going to take care of the one, it's really a lingering cloud. I would call it a lingering cloud over your head. We're going to see if we can get that straightened out. And I just want to thank you again for the welcome. And I wanted to say we've been friends for a long time, and you are going to be a great president. You already are. And if we can do this together, then you'll go down as the greatest of them all, and we'll try and make that happen. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
All right, so now they're moving to the next thing where there's some sort of hand grating. What's really funny, hope the noise doesn't scare you guys, but this guy is shaking hands with the South Korean president, and President Trump just kind of comes up and goes, can you hurry up? I got stuff to do here.
My here. Yeah, here is beautiful. I thought so. But he said that it was...
Did you reach a deal on trade? Did you reach a deal on trade?
We did. We reached a deal, and we did a lot of different things. We had a great session. It's an honor.
Did you have a message for New Zealand?
We should smile because we had a great time. But I've been doing this for 5 days, so it's always a little bit tougher. Is everybody happy?
I'm happy.
You having a good time?
How do you feel about the Australian
And I like your man from New Zealand, too.
And the Australian as well, $13 billion
love it.
mineral? Mr. President from the Korean press corps.
Hello, President. Hey, good to see you. Nice to see you.
You guys recognize the guy in the glasses? That guy in the glasses met with President Trump a week or so ago. That's the Prime Minister or President of Australia, who happened to be somehow in South Korea.
Nice people.
And the guy on the far right, my right, maybe your left, is the Prime Minister of Canada, who's got to be one of the most unhappy guys right now. You see, what happens is when President Trump and Xi Jinping end up cutting their deal, Canada is the odd man out. They are the proverbial country who doesn't have a chair when the music stops. Australia already got theirs done. Canada's playing games. He meets with Xi Jinping tonight, gets that deal. Canada's in a whole lot of hurt. Now, there's a couple of spots during this feed video where it freezes and things. Don't worry about it. It comes back. I wouldn't show it to you if it just completely dropped.
Round of applause. Now we move to the table.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is interesting. It's not quite an open mic moment, but President Trump is sitting at the table before the speaking begins, and he's talking. Listen to what he says here.
It was very good. I'm leaving a meeting with President Xi tomorrow morning, and then I go 3-hour meeting, 3-4 hours. Go home.
And then he does Halloween on day.
He doesn't do Halloween.
Can you believe it? We're going to have that.
Well, we really appreciate that you're coming to KL and with all the options.
Well, it's an honor.
You're showing your commitment.
We have a big commitment to everyone here.
You got a
big commitment to everyone.
The ASEAN led very well. Japan.
That was a great meeting. They're all great. This was a great meeting. We had a fantastic
New Zealand meeting.
He was just saying it was the highlight of the whole.
You know, I was there many years ago. I never forget. New Zealand, such a beautiful place.
So all of that happened, and I don't know if he didn't know or he didn't give a crap, either way, but the mics, the one that's standing in front of him, I don't think he thought it was on. Notice what just happened right now is they handed the Prime Minister of South Korea the working mic. So they thought the other ones might not have been on. I don't know if President Trump got caught on a hot mic or not, but now he's looking over and he's like, oh, so that's the mic. What about these? But anyway, he didn't say anything bad, I don't think.
Thank you very much for your participation as heads of states. It is a great pleasure to be able to meet you at this table. President Trump has joined us today. We are all allies and friends of the U.S. The whole world is faced with multiple challenges, and in these times, collaboration and cooperation among states is more important than ever before. This is indeed a rare opportunity for us to gather. I hope it will be a great opportunity to listen to your great insights. In particular, President Trump has joined us, and I do believe that it is very significant. As the host, I would like to wish each and every one of you prosperity and also world peace. Let me raise a toast. For world peace and collaboration between states.
그리고 저는 아주 짧은
I would now like to turn the floor to President Trump for his remarks.
Hello. So I'd like to thank everybody. I know you all either reasonably well or very well. And we had a tremendous meeting today with South Korea. I think the meeting a lot was determined, very much determined. And we made our deal. We pretty much finalized a trade deal. And we discussed some other things having to do with national security, etc. And I think we came to a conclusion on a lot of very important items. We had a terrific meeting in Japan also, and we concluded a trade deal, very big one, a very big trade deal. And I always say good for both countries. I think it really is great for both countries. But I just wanted to thank you. You rolled out a red carpet that was a very good red carpet, a beautiful red carpet, and giving me the honor of that magnificent piece of art, because it really was a piece of art that you presented to me today. And to be the first president of the United States that got that was really something very special. So I appreciate it very much, and I won't forget the trip. And we'll be working together, and you have a little bit of a cloud over your country, and we're going to get that cloud solved. You have a neighbor that hasn't been as nice as they could be, and I think they will be. I know Kim Jong-un very well, and I think things will work out very well. Tomorrow I meet with President Xi of China, and I look forward to that. And we've been talking a lot over the last month, and I think we're going to have something that's going to be very, very satisfactory to China and to us. I think we're going to have I think it's going to be a very good meeting. I look forward to it. Tomorrow morning we meet. And then I go back to the United States, and then I go around the United States, and the same thing happens, but we're doing very well. Our country is doing phenomenally well, better than I think it's ever done. We hit new highs in the stock markets, all of them. Every market's hit new highs, and they have, I think, 48 times since I've been 9 months. We've hit 48 times we've hit new highs, and many of you are investors in the United States. From the standpoint of stocks, you put a lot of money in our stocks, so you're doing very well. I'd like to congratulate you. In some cases, you've doubled your money in about a year, and I'm very impressed with you. Your voters are very impressed with you. But we've done amazingly well. I don't think there's ever been anything like it, and we're over 17 trillion, probably up to 18 trillion dollars of investment. In the last 4 years of the last administration, there were less than $1 trillion. And we're over 17 trillion. We're close to 18. I think we're going to be 21 or 22 trillion by the time I finish my first year. And in history, there's never been anything like that for any country, not even close. And part of that is the national security, given to us by the tariffs, properly used tariffs, very properly used. And other countries, as you know, have used them against us, but we never chose to use them very much. And we should have, and it's made a big difference. Our country is thriving. I think we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And a year ago, we were a very troubled nation, but we're not anymore. So I just think it's an honor to be with you. You've all done a fantastic job. You're fantastic leaders. We had a great meeting a week ago. You came all the way, and now you came here, but this isn't quite as far. This time I traveled far. But you've done a fantastic job, and we're working together on rare earths, but we're working on a lot of things together, and it's all working out very well. But I just want to thank you for your hospitality, Mr. President. It's been great, and it's an honor, and we'll be back, and we'll see you again. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I hope you guys can see the world is changing right before your eyes. And don't miss tomorrow's show, because tomorrow's show will be a video about what happens tonight, I believe, or early morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, when he meets with Xi Jinping, which is incredible. I still have to show you. Don't go anywhere. We're not done. Please excuse the banging. They're doing all kinds of work upstairs. But I've got to show you what happened with Mike Johnson's press conference today and something with John Thune. It's obvious that these people have absolutely had it with the Democrats. They've obviously also been in touch with President Trump, and he's probably said, do what you got to do. These people, we're not playing with them anymore. All right, so I'm going to get to Mike Johnson's. Before I do that, let me talk to you about Native Path. Big Ortho hates it when studies like this come out. Every year, over 1 million older adults, I guess I'm getting into that category, land in a hospital from falls and injuries. Not there yet. Robin's aunt just fell down, and it just happens as you age. People lose balance and fall down. Remember those old Got Milk commercials? Well, here's the real truth. A massive meta-analysis of clinical trials found that calcium, vitamin D, or even both together doesn't really benefit bone health in older adults. Another lie we've been told. Worse yet, bones aren't the only issue. What really holds your frame together, your ligaments and your connective tissues, are just as important. When those weaken, even the strongest bones can't protect you. And once ligaments are torn or overstretched, I can tell you that with my knees from playing football, the body struggles to regrow them naturally. That's where this overlooked nutrient comes in. Hidden in plain sight, this particular protein helps rebuild ligaments and connective tissue. It also helps to strengthen your joints. And it helps restore mobility, all with as little as 5 grams a day. Doctors ignored it for decades, but now top health and anti-aging experts are finally sounding the alarm, and it's a bonus for you. You'll also get healthier skin, stronger hair, and tougher nails. I got to worry about that. Don't wait until you fall. Don't wait until you get a ligament tear. Change your future today. go to getnativepath.com/Barry to discover the truth. And right now, you'll get up to 45% off in a special bundle. No code needed. That's getnativepath.com/Barry. Spell it out. Write it down. Get, GETNATIVE, PATH, getnativepath.com/Barry. All right, so I'm going to take you into Mike Johnson's presser, and it's a little bit different than his past pressers the last couple days. He looks pissed. I think he's pissed, and when I show you John Thune, I think he's pissed as well. So let's get into Mike Johnson's presser.
Good morning, everybody. Here we are again. It's day 29 of the Democrat shutdown, and things are getting really tough for the American people. The Democrats are coming near now to a cliff that they will not be able to turn back from, and it's of great concern to everyone who's paying attention to all this. You will note that more air traffic controllers and TSA agents and park rangers are about to go without a paycheck. You've got families and children that rely upon SNAP benefits that are going to go hungry here at the end of the week. You've got more critical workers, by the way, including the people who are the stewards of our nuclear defense arsenal, who are forced to stay at home as the government remains closed. The Democrats own every one of these consequences. So we want to point out a couple of important facts this morning for you. It's no coincidence that polling this week confirms that over 70% of the American people believe the Democratic Party is out of touch. And amazingly to us, still every day, they turn their backs on more and more hardworking American families to prolong their pain. And that is exactly what's being felt here. It is incredible to us that they've now voted 14 times between the House and Senate to reject the clean, simple funding bill that would simply reopen the government. 14 times they have thumbed their nose at the American people in spite of their pain that they themselves have acknowledged. And as we've explained here, the motivation behind that is very clear. And this is why the polling is indicating what it is. The people know the Democrats are responding to fear. It is their fear of the most radical far-left voices in their party that has made them decide to obey the demands of the far left and to shut down the entire government and thereby inflict all this pain on the people. And almost comically at this point, the Democrats are still out trying to convince you that this is somehow Republicans' fault. But the facts are the facts, and the American people can see that very clearly. They see the truth. We brought you a handy scorecard here so you can, follow the votes. I mean, this is very simple. The votes to pay the troops and federal workers and continue SNAP benefits and get air traffic controllers and Border Patrol agents paid. This is the vote tally. You see the dates here. The House did our work back on September 19th, and we voted, Republicans voted yes. Democrats voted no on all those things. And the Senate has now done it an additional 13 times. These are the votes. No one can say that this is in any way the fault of Republicans. We have a clean, simple bill, and everybody knows it. House and Senate Democrats are openly admitting that this is their shutdown. You have seen the highlight reel of all of them stumbling into admitting that. And yet they're also incoherently claiming that the shutdown is somehow on the fault of the other party. And the people aren't buying it. And that's why the polling continues to show that the approval of Republicans in Congress is rising with each passing day. And the Democrats, at the same time, Democrats in Congress have the lowest approval rating they have ever had since polling began, since recorded polling began on these metrics. And here's just an example yesterday. For example, CNN polling showed yesterday the approval of Republicans in Congress is up 8% since the shutdown began among independents. I mean, that's an important metric because people are paying attention. They understand what's happening and they see who is responsible. It's a really important thing to watch. Ronald Reagan used to remind us that you can always trust the American people, and we do. We trust their intelligence, and we trust their understanding of basic civics. In fact, we trust the American people's understanding of civics far more than the Democrats in this building right now. And a quick reminder of that is the people know that in the House of Representatives, you need a majority vote. You need 218 votes to pass legislation, to pass a clean, continuing resolution to fund the government. That's exactly what we did on September 19th. They also know that in the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to pass substantive legislation. And we've only got 53 Republican seats. That means we need, by the math, at least 7 Democrats to join us to reopen the government. Now, in other words, the Democrats are the only reason that the government is closed, and there is no other way to spin that, to make something else true about it. And of course, the Democrats know all that. We've seen their party leaders, and we've now made their phrases and their comments famous here every morning. Chuck Schumer, Whip Catherine Clark in the House. They've openly admitted that they're using the pain of the American people as their leverage. Why? To show to their base that they're fighting, and they're counting on the American people not noticing all this. And that's the very reason why we have to come in here every morning and relay the simple truths. I mean, somebody handed me this as I was walking in here. Yesterday, according to the Media Research Center study, by a 2.5 to 1 margin, the Capitol Hill Press Corps has tweeted more about the House calendar during the shutdown than the negative consequences of the Democrat shutdown, than the troubles that we have, the hardships that are being experienced because of the troop pay and WIC funding and flights grounded and SNAP funding. You guys are writing more about the House calendar than the real pain that's being inflicted on the American people, and that's why we have to come in and relay the simple facts. Now, there's a misguided strategy that the Democrats are pursuing right now, and it reveals 2 important things that can't be glossed over. Number one, it shows they have no cards to play except to try to blame the other team, which is ridiculous, and it shows how little they think of the American people. They had a rally a couple weeks ago. They tried to portray President Trump as a king, and we pointed out, again, the obvious truth. If the president was a king, then the government would be open. He's been trying to do that. And low-income families would be getting the food assistance that they need by Saturday. Republicans cannot wave a wand and reopen the government on our own. We must have a handful of centrist Democrats in the Senate do the right thing. And any Democrat suggesting otherwise knows exactly what they're doing, and they insult the intelligence of the American people. And by the way, every reporter in this room when they do that. Unlike Democrats, Republicans have nothing to twist or spin. We are just simply here relaying the simple facts and the truth. And the American people are responding to that. And that's why the polling indicates that they trust us more than the other side, because we are the ones here telling you the truth. We have nothing to hide. They are trying to obscure the facts. And by the way, the biggest unions are beginning to say the same thing. On Monday, the largest union of federal workers, the American Federation of Government Employees, came out, as you saw, and publicly urged Democrats to join Republicans and pass the House's short-term funding bill. The union president said, quote, "A strong America requires a functioning government, one that pays its bills, honors its commitments, and treats its workforce with respect by paying them on time." Amen to that. Of course, we agree. But it wasn't just the AFGE. You had the same commentary, the same plea by the National Association of Air Traffic Controllers, the Coalition of Airline Pilots Associations, the NetJets Association of Shared Aircraft Pilots, the Allied Pilots Association, the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association, the leader of the Teamsters, and the New York Steamfitters Union. They're all coming out. These are the constituencies that the Democrats claim that they support, and that's why the unions came on side of the Republicans in the last election. They've had enough of this nonsense, and they've all called on Senate Democrats to end this shameful shutdown. And it is a shame. The Democrats need to be publicly prodded by their millions of hardworking Americans to just simply do the most basic function of their jobs. A rational person would read the pleas of the federal workers and conclude that it is time to end the charade and turn the lights back on. But the Democrats are not rational right now, and they deliberately ignored the plight of all these federal workers around the country. People are going to remember this, and they should. I want to quote to you a couple of senators over there on the Democrat side. Listen to this nonsense. Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator from Virginia, and this is noteworthy because Virginia is the state with the largest number of federal employees. He claims that federal workers want him to vote against reopening the government. He literally said, quote, "I think they want us to fight this." Fight what, Mark? What are you talking about? We have a clean CR. This is not a partisan dispute. It's ridiculous. Senator Tim Kaine is the junior senator from the same state of Virginia with the largest number of federal employees, and he said, quote, "I work very closely with them, and the AFGE would not want us to cut a deal." What the heck are you talking about, Senator? There is no deal here. We're not talking about a deal. We're talking about a clean CR that all of you voted for even as recently as this year. And here's my favorite one. This is the best quote. When asked about the AFGE statement from the big union, Senator Jeanine Shaheen said, quote, I had a conversation with the president of AFGE earlier, right after the shutdown, and that was their position then. So let me just translate for you. Senator Shaheen spoke with the head of the largest federal employee labor union. The president of that union explained to her the harmful effects of a shutdown, and then Senator Shaheen went out and voted to close the government anyway, and continued to do that more than a dozen additional times. Senate Democrats knew the pain this would cause. They knew about the missed paychecks. They knew the uncertainty of making rent for so many people. They knew about the missed meals. They knew about delayed flights. They knew that our nuclear arsenal and our national defense would be negatively affected by this, and they did not care. They shut the government down anyway to appease the far-left voices of their base. And the Democrats have some soul-searching to do. Are they going to continue to do that? Are they going to run from the far left and do their bidding? Or are they going to do right by millions of federal workers and the American people who continue to show up to work daily without pay? Are they going to do right and reopen the government so that those people are taken care of instead of the Marxist far-left base in their party? That is the question. And we pray that Senate Democrats come to their senses before the situation becomes too dire. On Saturday, this gets very real. SNAP benefits will stop flowing to all those who need it. You're talking about tens of millions of Americans at risk of going hungry if the Senate Democrats can continue this gambit. Instead of taking a simple vote to fund the government, which Senate Democrats have now had more than a dozen opportunities to do, Democrat attorneys general are suing the federal government to try to compel SNAP benefits to flow despite the government being closed and despite the fact that there is no money to do that. Congress hasn't authorized that. The contingency fund for that was something they batted down when the Democrats decided to vote against the CR and shut the government. For Democrats, there's a much easier option on the table. Just go do your job and fully fund all these programs and all these categories of people by voting for the CR. That's it. You don't have to do anything for Republicans. Just do your job for your constituents. Until Democrats recognize the pain that's gone on for so long, Republicans will be in their districts helping their constituents clean up the mess that Democrats are making and help them make ends meet and help them find the assistance, the food assistance and all these other things that they're going to have to rely upon. And joining us this morning to discuss the Democrats' shutdown impacts on our national defense and on foreign affairs is our great chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army, our good friend Chairman Brian Mast. Brian?
Thank you, Speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything going on, it really puts an exclamation point on the fact that we have the greatest population anywhere across the globe. I do want to start just by saying thank you to all of our workers. We have workers whose lives are being very literally affected, and they're still coming to work every day. Those are really big, amazing people. That's our American workforce. So I just want to start by saying thank you to them. All of our TSA workers, all of our air traffic controllers, our ICE, our CBP, our State Department people that I deal with, and to put a point, maybe moving to State Department because that's what I deal with the most, about the very serious stakes of what is going on right now. Not just with people's lives and them not being able to pay their bills, but with what's going on across the globe. To juxtapose these positions, we have President Trump in Asia right now, very literally trying to make sure that the United States of America is not cut off from rare earth minerals or other things, which is what China is literally trying to do. That's why there was a threat of another 100% tariff, because China was sending around letters saying, all you neighboring countries don't sell to America. So the president is abroad trying to protect our homeland. And we have Democrats here at home doing everything that they can to weaken our homeland. That's a difference of values. And the stakes of those values is the future of the greatest country on the face of this earth. We should pray that our adversaries would be stupid enough to say they're going to prioritize funding feminism in Africa over the food stamps of their own people. They're not that stupid, but apparently Hakeem Jeffries is, and that's a real problem for all of us here. I was on the phone with an ambassador this morning. I'm not going to say where, but we have requests for people to leave embassies abroad because of very real threats that are going on. The people in that embassy are right now trying to figure out if they have cash funding to get fuel for vehicles or to have diesel to put in their generators because they don't have reliable electricity in the places that they're in. Those are the real world consequences. While they're also worrying about their paycheck isn't coming in, can their family back home buy groceries, pay their bill for student loans, pay for the fuel to get their kids to school, or the tuition at their children's school, or all the other things that they have to worry about while they're worrying about can they even get out of country. So those are the difference of values. I guess I would close it by saying this. We need 5 Democrat senators to pull their heads out of their asses and go work for the United States of America.
Thank you, Chairman Mast. Thank you for your service to our country and for keeping the focus where it needs to be on making sure America stays strong in the midst of turbulent times. And you know, what's so sad about this shutdown is that we don't need to be in these turbulent times. It was a self-imposed wound that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have imposed on the country. And if you look over this last month of the shutdown, you've seen Democrats literally playing a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde game with the American people. On one hand, they'll try to say, it's not us, it's the Republicans. Gee whiz, as the Speaker talked about, oh, they control the House, Senate, and White House when they know that they are the ones that are shutting the government down. And then on the other hand, Mr. Jekyll's side, they're saying that they know that they're causing pain on the American people. They admit that there is suffering, but they're doing it for leverage. So you can't have it both ways, Chuck Schumer. You can't wake up one day and say you're going to try to blame it on the Republicans, and then on the next day, you're trying to say that, gee whiz, we know that we're causing these problems. They're admitting they're causing suffering on people, but they're doing it for leverage. And they can't even explain what that leverage is, because they just need to show their radical base that they're having a fight with Donald Trump. It's all it's been about from the beginning. You really want to know who's calling the shots in the Democrat Party? You saw it on the stage this past weekend. Bernie and AOC on the stage with the new leader of the Democrat Party, Mandami. Maybe Chuck Schumer's waiting for Mandami to let him know when he can open the government back up again. But families can't wait because the real suffering is going to begin. It's already been happening, but it really hits home this weekend when SNAP benefits run out, and they know that. But I'm going to go through some of the lies, the myths, the things that they say when they know better. Chuck Schumer just yesterday said, quote, Republicans are in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House, but they're refusing to do their job. Now, Chuck Schumer's been in Congress since the 1980s. And he knows that every day he's been there, there's been a requirement that you need not 51, not a majority like we need in the House. He was in the House where you did need a majority, and then he went over to the Senate where it's always been a requirement that you need a supermajority. And in fact, when they changed the rules, it's not a standard or a custom, it's an actual Senate rule that you need 60 votes. The rule used to be higher. And in 1975, many of you might have thought Chuck Schumer voted for that rule. He came in just a few years after. In 1975 is when they lowered the threshold to 60 votes. It used to actually be a higher standard in the rules. And so every day Chuck Schumer's been in Congress, it always took more than a simple majority, in fact, 60 votes to pass these kinds of bills through the Senate. And he knows that. So you'd ask, well, why is he trying to lie and mislead the American people? when he makes a statement like that, he knows he's trying to mislead the American people. And yet on other days, he does admit he knows he's causing suffering, but he's doing it for leverage. And so this game back and forth is what the American people are sick and tired of. Hakeem Jeffries, quote, "We didn't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill." He knows good and well that it was a clean CR. If Democrats still to this day don't know the difference between a clean CR and partisan bills, did they stop reading the bills? Because they used to vote for these bills. Just since 2017, go look at the facts. Speaker likes talking about the facts. Facts are important here. Since 2017, 30 different CRs, 30 times CRs have moved to keep the government open. And do you know, 29 of the previous times Chuck Schumer's voted yes. 29. This 30th time is the only time Chuck Schumer has voted no. And of course you'd say, well, then what's changed if he's voted? 29 out of 29 times before this, he voted for clean CRs. What's changed? This is a clean CR. What's changed is the Democrat Party has changed. Mondami is now running the party. That party has changed, but the American people still have the same needs. The American people, again, the clean CR doesn't solve our differences. We still have big differences that we need to go negotiate, but let's just do it while the lights are on without the American people being held hostage. And of course, the final myth that's been out there for the beginning of this whole shutdown that we've debunked many times, that it's, quote, a total effing lie. That was Chuck Schumer's word. I think he actually used the word itself. That Democrats support free taxpayer-funded health care, free legals. That was Schumer saying that. And then, of course, when you read his alternative bill, his list of hostage demands, the $1.5 trillion spending bill, it includes in it a provision that repeals the verification we put in that says illegals can't get free health care. And CBO, not us, CBO said that would cost $200 billion in taxpayer health care benefits going to illegals. They know that. Of course they know it. And so why would they want to try to mislead the American people by over and over again making those statements? So here you can see it. Time and time again, the SNAP benefits comment the speaker talked about. They were warned in early October that 42 million people could be at risk in just weeks of losing their SNAP benefits if they didn't open the government. They knew that, and they want to play this game of chicken, this Jekyll and Hyde, one day trying to blame everybody but themselves, and then the other day taking ownership and admitting they're causing suffering, but they want to do it for leverage. You can't have it both ways. And more importantly, the American people are feeling the suffering. And this weekend, that suffering gets worse. And we have voted over and over again to prevent the suffering. It's not necessary. It shouldn't happen. And there's a way to avoid it. All they need to do is today, just 5 Senate Democrats need to get courage and say, we're not going to take our orders from Mondami or whoever else it is that are calling the shots over there. We're going to do the right thing and open this government back up so we can get into that negotiation over all of our differences, which are many, but just don't hold the American people hostage while that goes on. That'll bring up our whip. Tom Emmer.
Before Tom comes on, I've got another couple of videos, not going to be here a whole lot longer, but a couple of videos that I don't understand. This is very easy for the media to expose what's going on. Who's lying? Well, it'd be very simple to say, bring them out and stand them both together. Here's Chuck Schumer, here's John Thune, here's Mike Johnson, and here's Hakeem Jeffries. Do you guys really want to keep this stuff in here for all these newcomers and go through them one at a time? Make them take accountability for them wanting to fund that crazy stuff and the LGBTQ stuff in Botswana and circumcisions in Uganda. Make them take responsibility and put them on, not a stand, this isn't a court, but to make them stand up there and ask them the questions. The media has failed the people. This isn't even hard. All they would have to do is expose everybody. All they would have to do is ask the right question in front of America. Now, when I get done with this, I'm going to show you something that Jake Tapper did, which it's beginning. People are asking the right questions.
The Democrats have no leader, no vision, no message. And nothing proves it more than the chaos they have caused with their needless government shutdown. We are now 29 days into this mess, and the Democrats have contradicted themselves every turn with no exit strategy in sight. They've tried to make their shutdown fight about health care, while simultaneously demanding that we cut $50 billion in rural health care and give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. Not to mention the Americans who are suffering right now because critical health care services have been put on pause due to the Democrats' shutdown charade. On the issue of SNAP, Democrats are bending over backward to oppose Trump, using taxpayer dollars to fund frivolous lawsuits. Meanwhile, they are the ones causing people to lose their SNAP benefits by refusing to reopen the government. Remember, all of this could have been solved in a matter of 5 minutes by 5 Senate Democrats if they would do the reasonable and right thing by supporting our clean CR. The same CR that they supported just 6 months ago, and as we've said over and over, that they passed 13 times under the Biden administration. But instead, they'd rather run in circles, tripping over their own feet in the process and hanging their constituents out to dry. Why? In order to attain political leverage and score points with the radical Mamdani and Omar Fata supporting that, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is the Mamdani of the Midwest, Omar Fata, supporting that wing of their party. Take it from the party who essentially wrote the government shutdown playbook. It doesn't work. Shutdowns achieve nothing but hurt everyone. So enough with the political games. Pass our clean CR and let's reopen the government for the people that you were elected to serve.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. House Republicans did our job. Senate Democrats didn't. It's that simple. More than 1 month ago, under the leadership of Speaker Mike Johnson, the House passed responsible legislation to keep our government, your government, open. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats voted again and again to keep it shut down. So before anyone throws around cheap insults like one Democrat member did on social media this week, and I'll just read it. Lazy Mike Johnson has made himself irrelevant and pointless. You know, I always find that funny. When you can't beat us on the issues, what do children do? They personalize it. And that's exactly what this member is doing. He can't beat us on the issues, so he wants to attack our leader, who has done a remarkable job, and personalize it. We're not in 6th grade anymore. But maybe for some people they are in 6th grade. But let's remember the facts. Republicans acted. The Democrats stalled. Mike Johnson has shown leadership, discipline, and focus. And what's lazy? I'll share with you what's lazy, is Democrats refusing to do their job and blaming everyone else for the problems in which they created. Because what Democrats are doing is wrong. And Americans, real Americans, hardworking Americans, are getting hurt. I, for one, have had it. And I don't think I'm the only one out there. On Sunday, a Democrat House member admitted to the Wall Street Journal that his party is being pushed by far left groups. He said the quiet part out loud, everybody. He said what we've been saying forever. He said Democrats were lying to the American people about the reason behind the shutdown. Well, that's a shock, right? It isn't for health care. It isn't for health care, because if it was about health care, they wouldn't have stripped the $50 billion rural health care fund. I mean, come on, Democrats, get your story straight. At least get a good story that you can spin to the American people, but you can't even keep your story straight. Listen, what the speaker said, Ronald Reagan was right. Trust the American people. And you know what? I'll say it again. When the facts aren't on your side, you have to personalize it and you have to lie. But the question right now is, at what point is the pain of the Americans going to outweigh the radical cries of their base? It wasn't when our troops almost didn't get paid. It wasn't off their table. It wasn't when flights across the nation got canceled because air traffic controllers and TSA agents didn't get paid. No. When that happened, Democrats said, every day gets better for them. Really? Maybe because they're getting paid while the people who they represent are not. That's what they said. They said pain for the American people was their best leverage. They said maybe it was uncomfortable, but it was worth it to them. Really? Think about that. Let that settle in. Let that just sit for a minute. So now I ask, will it be enough pain this weekend when 42 million Americans lose access to food on their table? Will it be enough when 2 million Americans miss a paycheck? What Democrats are doing right now is absolutely cruel, but it's also dangerous. And I think Chairman Mast spoke very well on this issue, but let's build on that. When our skies aren't staffed, when our borders aren't secure, and when our troops are at risk of missing a paycheck, that is not a political strategy. That is a national security threat. Enough is enough. Americans do not want to be used as leverage. And they don't want to be used as leverage for another $1 trillion of wasteful spending. They work way too hard for their paychecks. They want relief. They want leadership. And they want results. Democrats, please, I implore you, do what's right. Democrats, do what's right. End the shutdown. End the suffering for the American people. Stop, as you say, leveraging the pain. Vote for the Clean CR funding bill and let America move forward. Thank you.
All right, questions? Manu, go ahead.
Given how dire that you expressed for so many Americans right now, how do you justify the administration giving this big, massive bailout to Argentina, as well as calling for an increase in beef imports from Argentina?
Look, we give foreign policy, the execution of foreign policy, to the executive branch, and that's what the president is doing right now. There's lots of nuances about that. He's involved in negotiating trade agreements around the country to great success and benefit of the American people right now. Dozens of them being worked out. He's overseas right now doing the same thing. And what he accomplished in Japan is a remarkable thing for the American people. And by the way, they've agreed to invest $550 billion into America, and that's good for everyone. So I can't get into the nuances of every single trade agreement with every country around the world, but we're going to trust the president to do what he's doing. He's had a remarkable track record of success for the American people, and nobody in this room can refute it. So I'm going to leave it right there. Chad, let's talk about the government shutdown. It's the main important thing right here. Chad, go ahead.
Can you talk about some of the members in your conference who have expressed concern about the House being out, or saying that this has gone on too long, we need to maybe have another CR or take another approach or do something healthcare.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that is like and some of the things that you're hearing from your members who are saying, this is really going on?
Well, you all know what I'm hearing from my members because our calls are leaked every week, and we had a conference call with almost everyone yesterday. By our count, there's about 3 to 4 members of the House Republican Conference who have only mildly questioned working in the districts as opposed to being here on the floor. And we talked through that in as much detail as we can on a call that I know is being printed on the front page of all the papers the next morning. But I can tell you that 99% of all the Republicans in the Senate and the House heartily agree with what we are doing. They understand the most important thing and the most important function and the basic and most simple thing that government must do is keep its operation going for the people. That is the first job of Congress. And when we can't do that, everything is paralyzed. And so we have made that the #1 emphasis. We need the Senate Democrats to do what they have always done in the past. Don't make me tell you all the facts again. 13 times during the Biden administration alone, they voted on CRs to keep the government going. They know the pain they're inflicting. They do not care because they're more afraid of the radical left Marxists in the base than they are the American people. That's plain and simple. And so it's painful for them, for us to get up here every single day and relate again the simple truths. We have to do that. The repetition is what makes the truth saturate, because most of the mainstream media is giving us headwinds. They're pushing back, as I just demonstrated from you from the results. The research proves what we know intuitively, that the mainstream media, most of the legacy media, is parroting the talking points to their side. You are not asking Chuck Schumer the hard questions. You're not asking Hakeem Jeffries the hard questions. Not enough of them. They're hiding, and they think that they can appease the radical base because they're more afraid of the voices of the far left corner of their party than they are everybody else. And I think there's going to be a big price to pay for that in the future. Yes, sir. Right here.
Religion News Service has tracked 5 different instances in the last few weeks. DHS or ICE agents apparently, or the Swedish support, shooting Christian clergy with pepper bullets, pepper rounds, and rubber bullets. There was viral video of a Tyrian minister being hit in the head with pepper rounds, and just last week a UCC minister was shot directly in the face with a pepper round by a DHS agent that left his face bloody. I know that you've advocated for religious freedom in the past and celebrated the president's decision to pardon anti-abortion demonstrators. Do you share the concern of these clergy? This is a religious freedom issue that's emerging between the administration and
I can't comment on any of those instances. I haven't seen or heard any of those videos, so I'm not going to comment about it. But I would say, hold on, wait a minute. Let me answer you. Hold on. Thank you. You asked the question. Religious freedom does not extend and give you the right to get in the face of an ICE officer and assault them, if indeed that was what happened there. What I've seen is a measured approach by the people who are trying to enforce our border laws, our immigration laws. And that was desperately needed and desired and demanded by the American people. You might remember the #1 issue in the November election last year was the wide open border and the chaos that has ensued by that. So the people are out doing a very difficult job. ICE officers, by the way, are under tremendous strain and pressure. How would you like to do that job if you had to put on the badge and do it? When you know you have the media criticizing every move, and you have wild protesters in your face, cursing at you, waving their finger in your face, and sometimes pushing you and assaulting you. Okay, it's a dangerous, risky job. Thank the Lord that there are people who are willing to do that difficult job, to put on the badge and show that kind of courage. We should be on the side of law enforcement, and anybody who's trying to disrupt those operations, they need to be handled the right way. Now, look, all of us want the law to be enforced. We are the rule of law party. Chaos is not an American virtue. The rule of law, but you have to have order, and you have to have peace, and you have to have some people who are brave enough to put on the uniform and go ensure that. So get out of their face and let them do their job. That's what I would say. Down here, yes, ma'am.
We're getting closer to the November 21st deadline for the CR that you guys passed. We're almost 3 weeks away from that. Is it time to bring the House back to pass a new CR with a new date? Is fewer than 3 weeks enough time to finish appropriation?
Wouldn't that be a futile exercise when we have a CR that's been sitting over there since September 19th? If I brought the House back and we passed another CR, it would meet the exact same fate of Chuck Schumer. He would mock it, they would spike it, and they would try to blame it on us. So what would be the point of that?
Timing is
We're all concerned about the timing. The Democrats are eating up the clock. We have very important work to do here, and that's why we're pleading with them, not Chuck Schumer. Look, I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are irredeemable at this point. I don't think they'll be able to tell Mondami in New York and his disciples that they voted to open the government. I've given up on the leadership. So we're trying to appeal to a handful of moderates or centrists who care more about the American people and will put the people's interest over their own and do the right thing in the Senate. I mean, there's no point in me sitting down with Chuck Schumer. He's painted himself into a corner. I get all that. Mondami it looks like he's going to win and be the mayor of New York City, and Hakeem Jeffries came out and endorsed him. That's all you need to know. Hakeem Jeffries is terrified that Mondami, one of his disciples, is going to challenge him in his own seat in the election next fall. You've already seen that rumored. Some of you have reported on it. So he had to do it. He had to endorse socialism. He had to endorse Marxism. This dangerous ideology that has taken over the Democrat Party. That is what is motivating them. So it doesn't matter what we do in the House. It doesn't matter what we pass. We have to get a handful of moderates over there who care about America to do the right thing. We need at least 7 Democrats. It takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass it. This is not the Republicans. This fault is squarely on the shoulders of the Democrats, and they're the ones causing you the pain, and don't ever let them forget it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we're building to a crescendo here. Something is about to break. I think this November 1st deadline with SNAP might push it over the line. They may have to. I think the Democrats are realizing if they let it go past November 1st, they're in really big trouble. I found this video. This is Chuck Schumer beginning to freak out.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico...
Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Is it this one? All right, this one. Here we go.
It is not, wait a minute, excuse me. It is not a dispute. It is fact they can use it, and the Republicans say it.
Okay, but there's, only 5 or 6 billion, and it's not costing $8 billion monthly just to administer. I mean, if anything, it would only last.
It does not cost 5 or 6 billion to administer. There's enough money to start feeding people right away. 6 billion's a lot of money, and they're using it for other things. 20 billion for Argentina, hundreds of millions for Kristi Noem's plane. Who are we kidding here? Yes.
What happens once it runs out? If it only lasts 2-3 weeks, do Democrats fold then?
The bottom line is they can fund it just as in 2019, just as in other shutdowns, for a long period of time.
And they also, if the contingency fund, which is $6 billion, which gets you nearly a month, 3 weeks, runs out, then they can pass Senator Lujan or Senator Hawley's bill, both of which we support. We know that there'll be 60 votes for that. Why aren't they calling it up? They're not calling it up because the House isn't here to pass it. That's the way it works. The House would have to come here. They probably would have to vote on the Epstein files, but they're choosing to let kids go home.
Epstein files. She really said Epstein files. That's what these... This is really bad. These people have nothing left. They're complaining about Epstein files and Kristi Noem's plane. This is where these people are. But it gets worse.
Angry instead of having to vote on the Epstein files. There's no doubt about it. They have been out for 6 weeks on vacation.
Just think, if they have all this money for Argentina and all this money for other things, they have enough money to keep funding SNAP. And they know it. And I just want to say what Lujan said. Johnson just lies. He lied about on immigration, on the undocumented. He's lying about this. He just outright lies.
So if he's going to come out and say that Mike Johnson is an outright liar, it is time for this to come to a head. These people need to come and sit in the same room and tell the people specifically, what does the document say? What is holding you up from signing the clean CR? If Mike Johnson is lying, tell everybody that Section 1, oh no, we don't really want that. All right, so take the condoms and circumcisions away from Uganda. Take the LGBTQ cookbook away from Botswana. No more for the newcomers, period. You can tell they're starting to break.
Plain and simple. It is not illegal, and his own president has done it. Yes.
Are talks ticking up as been indicated? Is there any conversation, any negotiation whatsoever happening behind the scenes? And if so, you enlighten us on
Yeah, there are occasional talks between Democrats and Republicans. on this issue, but our Republican colleagues don't seem to be offering anything different than what their leadership has had so far. We hope that will change. Yes.
Understanding what you're saying about Republicans' options here for SNAP and the contingency fund, are you saying Democrats have no responsibility for the fact that
We are saying the Republicans can fund it now, and they're using these people as hostages. Plain and simple. Next. That's the answer. The answer is they can fund it right now.
He's breaking. He's absolutely breaking. You can see the look in his face. People are starting to ask the right questions. Finally. And you know it'll become a feeding frenzy once they start understanding that it's now whoever gives the word and says go after them, whether it's Mandami or AOC, it's starting to show at this point. Let me show you this next one. Just this is pretty quick. Yeah, check this out.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding
this
their
by
tactics.
The White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This
They
is
are
also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to
this
cut
is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by Senate Democrats
No,
to not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
This is going to get good. Now the media has they're over it. And they're like, you're lying. I didn't know we'd get to this point that the media would start calling these people out and calling them on their lies.
I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3
children
weeks worth
to
of
have
SNAP funds.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me
It is
tell
a big
you
deal
that
to
for
me.
the grandparents, for grandparents
It is a big deal
that
to me.
literally are feeding their children.
My point
to
is that
not
it's a
have
short-term
money
solution.
In those accounts.
It's
it
a
doesn't
short-term.
matter. At the end of the day, people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds
If you
run
feel
out,
so
and we
strongly,
are fighting
Congresswoman,
to get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am...
Oh, she got into something she wasn't prepared for. You mean Jake Tapper's going to come after me and call me a liar and say, just get it done? Yeah, he is.
Here in the House of Representatives, it is shut down. I am fighting to get the government reopened. I am fighting to get funding put back into SNAP that is already existent, and I am fighting for the American people. I am here, but show me a single Republican that is here. Not a single one is here to make sure that Americans are fed on Saturday. That is why I am here.
So she's lying through her teeth because what she's lying about is the House has already passed it. There's no reason for the House to be there. There is nothing on the table. There's nothing for the people in the House, Democrat or Republican, to be talking about. They already did their job. It passed. So that's a big lie. The only people who need to be there are the ones that are the Democrat and Republican senators. This isn't difficult. There's not a whole lot to go on here. These people are lying through their teeth. So John Thune, he's had it.
Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, oh, there might be some consequences. There are people who are running out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. my aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences. Well, you know what? What Democrats are doing here. They're making plans to keep the shutdown going.
And I hope they do. I'm so want to see 61 days happen. I want to see what happens at 61 days. But we're seeing we're starting to see a lot of emotion on both sides. People have had it. SV sent me something. I can't show you the whole video because YouTube doesn't like me showing these things. But here's the post, and you guys can look it up yourself. Snapped. I love that title. Two women arrested after attacking a Massachusetts grocery store employees, calling them racial slurs while trying to steal high-priced meats. There's a whole video here I can't show you. But it's begun. It has absolutely begun. They are now going to get violent. Men, I'm not being chauvinistic when I say this, but don't let your ladies, don't let your women, daughters, wives, mother, grandparents, don't do it. Don't let them go to the store alone. If it's already begun and we're not even at the point of SNAP benefits being cut off, if they're already trying to steal and bum rush into markets, look around when you go in someplace. Be very, very careful. I already told Robin is a very forceful woman. And I'm like, and she's like, it won't happen here. I'm like, yeah, but if. Let's go to Instacart. Let's just keep ordering what we need, or I will go to the store with you. It gets pretty bad during Christmas season anyway. Don't leave your stuff in the car. People walking by can look in the window. It's going to be worse. It is going to be much worse. All right, let me do super chats. Well, we've been going for 3 hours. Oh, by the way, no, I can't. I won't be doing a show tonight. The next couple nights I am off because I'm spending some time with Robin. As you heard while they were banging, they're doing some renovations here in the house. So she's in a hotel. So after I get off here, I got to go meet her and take her to dinner, and so I don't have a setup in the hotel, and I didn't want to lug my whole studio in a box anywhere, so that's why I kind of did a long show these last 2 days. And tomorrow I foresee it being a long show as well. We got President Trump. Before I do super chats, let me bring that up. President Trump is having that big meeting with Xi Jinping. Let's look at his schedule for today, tonight, or tomorrow, whatever it may be. And then we can figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. And, of course, Mike Johnson will have another press conference. And in between, I hope you guys like these press conferences. I like them for one reason. I like them because the media doesn't show people the truth. And if you're not listening to what's going on and seeing what these people are saying, especially the President of the United States, you're missing out. All right, so here's the schedule. Today is Wednesday, all right? So let's look at Wednesday real quick here. Now, the number on the left is the number Eastern. So at 12:20 this morning, this is midnight, he went to that presentation and got the crown and everything. So let's go scroll down to where we are now. All right, so it was overnight. Now it's 7:30 p.m. our time. Let's see here. That's just a call. Then at 10 o'clock tonight, he participates with Xi Jinping. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. is when it'll be. Obviously, I know some of you guys aren't going to be around at 10 o'clock, so I'll cover it, and then we'll show it tomorrow. And then at 11:55, which is midnight our time, he ends up leaving to go back to, I believe, home. Then let's look at tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday, 12:30 is just when they call. He'll be back at the White House at 3:05 tomorrow. And then 5:30 they have a Halloween presentation. I don't know why they're doing it on Thursday instead of Friday. Interesting. But they're going to have a Halloween thing. We can all watch that together tomorrow. But tomorrow afternoon is when he's going to be well, tonight at 10 o'clock. He'll be meeting with Xi Jinping. So you're going to hear a lot of stuff probably tonight, and we'll see if a deal has been indeed reached. That would be very interesting, very interesting for sure. All right, so let's do some super chats. Gray Man, hey Gray Man, I loved seeing his rifles. Buy some Bibles. Interest rates are down. Time to make some cash, and maybe Daddy needs a new toy. Fazul, thank you. 21 trillion, lining up to kiss the ring for sure. $21 trillion. Buddy Sanders, I remember reinforced my support for him. Yep, that was, he's talking about the video. This was a while ago. Redeem Patriots, can we get a home tour sometime? Robin would kill me. She barely likes me doing the videos by the pool. David Yeoman, welfarians made it to the dock but forgot to get on board. Nikki P, with pennies being phased out, wouldn't it be a good idea to hold on to the 2025 ones? There won't be any for 2026. They could increase in collector's value, but it's going to take a long time. Subtle Thunder, you've been there for me this past year. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very nice, Subtle. Thank you. I can hear him drilling. I thought they'd be gone by now. Mighty Mouse, hi Barry, I invested in gold and silver a year and a half ago, and my investment has tripled in value. Best thing I ever did. I live in Canada. I know sometimes we're about to get really squirrely soon. You can see the emotion. Fazul, Trump can christen the ballroom wearing a crown. Oh, would that be awesome? Sandy Basent, keep up the good work. You're the best. Thank you very, very much, Sandy. Chapo, last time a Dem voted against the commies, she and her husband were dead in Minnesota. Klobuchar was on the list. She and Chucky know what's up. Wow, didn't think of it that way. Did not think of it that way. Interesting. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in and sitting through this for 3 hours. And tomorrow's probably going to be a long one as well, because we're going to be covering China and then the reaction. I'll have all kinds of stuff to show you. And then Mike Johnson. And maybe we'll have some more people trying to steal stuff. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow.